exciting players to watch, whether dropping back to unleash a bomb or improvising, using his foot speed and elusive move, turning a would-be sack into a touchdown, or even as a part-time punter, averaging over 50 yards. Cunningham does it all as the Eagles seek a second consecutive division title. Tonight, the New Orleans Saints will try to stop Randall and the Eagles on ABC's Monday Night Football.
Well, I'm sitting at home. It's the best seat in the land. Do you know how long I've been a Monday night fan? I remember all the big games, all the trick plays. It's been here for 20 years, and here it's going to stay. I got to get ready, make everything right, because Monday Night Football's coming on tonight. Are you ready for the football? Monday night party! Hey, this is Rockin' Randall, hey, ready to get the good time started. You gotta hit 'em, gotta dock 'em, get the play call right. 'Cause all my rowdy friends are here for Monday night. Everybody's a fan. Hey, this is the biggest party. Yeah, Frank and Al and Dan, they really got it started. It's the time that is right. Oh, my rowdy friends are here on Monday night. Right.
ABC's Monday Night Football, brought to you by Miller Lite, sole sponsor of the Miller Lite All-Star Super Bowl game. By Pontiac and your local Pontiac dealer, we build excitement. By Braun Electric Shavers, it is through superior design that superior performance can be achieved. And by the U.S. Army. Learn how to get an edge on life. Be all you can be.
The Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. Tonight, the Philadelphia Eagles and the New Orleans Saints. Key game for the Eagles as they attempt to stay with the Giants and maintain their edge in the Eastern Division of the National Football Conference. Those are the standings in the NFC East. The Philadelphia Eagles look at this game as a must game tonight. They know a couple of things. If they win tonight, they will clinch at least a wild card entrance into the playoffs. They also know if they win tonight and win their final game against Phoenix next Sunday, even though the Giants might win against the Raiders, they would both have 12-4 records, but they would win the Eastern Division with the first tiebreaker head-to-head competition because they have beaten the Giants twice this season. And now, Michaels, I would think it's safe to assume that we'll have a pretty good audience in New York as Bill Parcells and the Giants look on, and it's safe to say the old cliche, the Eagles are in charge of their own destiny.
And they're a very hot team. The Eagles have won 4 straight. They've won 8 of their last 10, and they've done it mainly, of course, with their defense. This is a team that has created 52 turnovers, and they have come up with 53 sacks. What do those numbers mean? Well, think about it. They played 14 games. That's about 1 takeaway per quarter, 1 sack per quarter. The defense itself has scored 3 touchdowns, set up numerous others. Offensively, of course, they've got people like Randall Cunningham, of course, the quarterback, Anthony Toney providing a better running game along with Keith Byers. But interestingly tonight, Philadelphia's running game goes up against the number 1 run defense in the National Football League, but the worst pass defense in the National Football League in the New Orleans Saints. Dan, New Orleans out of the playoff picture. How does a team like the Saints approach a game like tonight's game?
You got a coin? I mean, you might as well flip it because that's about the only way to tell. The only thing you can say about New Orleans, Al, is last week they knew that they were virtually eliminated from the playoffs, and yet they go to Buffalo and they upset the Bills in a really well-played game. So what are we going to see tonight from New Orleans? Who knows? One thing, and one reason why we say who knows, is because of their quarterback. John Fourcade starts tonight for the second week in a row. Here's a kid that's played in Canada. He played in the Arena Football League, but take this down. He has never seen anything like the pass rush he's going to see tonight from the Philadelphia Eagles. How will he react to Jerome Brown and Clyde Simmons and Reggie White coming at him? Who knows? How he reacts will determine whether New Orleans can win or lose.
Last week on an icy field in Buffalo, he faced the Buffalo pass rush, threw for 302 yards, and New Orleans upset the Bills 22-19. So here we go on what is outside a frosty night with temperatures in the upper 30s and light rain falling in New Orleans and nice and toasty inside. Sellout crowd, blackout lifted, and the Philadelphia Eagles and New Orleans Saints ready to wrap up the 15th week of play in the National Football League. with numerous playoff spots to be determined. And before we're done tonight, and we might need all of the time we have tonight, we will get into what is happening, and if you're a fan of such and such team, what you should be rooting for next weekend. Morton Anderson will put it in the air for the Saints, who come in with a record of 7-7. About a third of his kickoffs this season, as you see, have resulted in touchbacks. Second highest percentage in the NFL. Mark Higgs and Heath Sherman are back to receive for the Eagles. There's Higgs in his second year out of Kentucky. Sherman, a rookie out of Texas A&I. And Morton Anderson ready to put it in the air. Monday Night Football at the Superdome is underway. And a great kick, resulting in yet another touchback off the foot of Morton Anderson, who salutes himself as he comes off the field. And here come the Eagles out to the 20-yard line. Randall Cunningham, you know what he can do in the air. There are the numbers, 18 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. And on the ground, he is their second leading rusher and only 5 yards behind Anthony Toney, who along with Byers are the running backs. And, of course, they split Byers off times. Johnson and Carter, the wideouts. Quick is on injured reserve. Keith Jackson, the tight end. And the guys up front, in particular, the center, David Alexander, having a good year. Crowd gets noisy at the outset on first down, and there was movement up front, but no flags and next to no game against, as we say, the number one rushing defense in the league. The three-man front, Warren Wilkes and Jumpy Geathers, all veterans, great linebackers, and of course in particular the two guys on the outside, Ricky Jackson and Pat Swilling. Mills and Johnson inside. Massey is the rookie corner with Toy Cook on the other side. Atkins and Waymer, of course, the longtime corner, now a free safety. Second down, 9. That's Byers split to the left. They keep it on the ground. This is Anthony Toney, and Toney gets to the 22-yard line, and he is gang tackled. Sam Mills leading the charge. The fourth-year, 5'9", 225-pound linebacker out of Montclair State.
You have to wonder how long Philadelphia will continue to try to go on the ground. Now pointed out number one in the league against the rush. And here it's a swarming defense. Mills, the leading tackler, number 51. But it's also a defense 27th against the pass. And here come the Eagles with the pass.
And the Eagles without a huddle as Cunningham went right to the line, goes back to pass, and then has to run it out for the 26 short of the first down. Mills and Warren converge on the tackle, and so the Saints on the Eagles' first possession hold them, but there are two flags now down in the secondary, both coming at the end of the play. Ben Dreith is our referee tonight. Back judge throwing one of the flags.
The Saints players all acting like it's against Philadelphia.
And it's against New Orleans.
Well, here's some guys that need a little lesson on what's being called.
I think it's for too many men on the field, and if that's the case, it's created by the Eagles, who came to the line that time without a huddle, a la the Bengals. Ted Plum, the offensive coordinator, and Cunningham on the far side, and in a moment we'll get the call from Dreith. There are two flags down, so there could be two separate penalties here. We'll see.
Well, if it's a 5-yard penalty, it won't give Philadelphia a first down.
12 men on the field on the defense. They decline the penalty. Fourth down.
So two flags, both officials spotting the same.
They decline the penalty. Why would they decline the penalty? It would bring up a 3rd and 3 situation.
Well, that's what Cunningham wants to know right now.
12 men on the field defense. They're going to take the penalty.
Yeah, I guess so.
Third down.
I mean, they had a 3rd and 8. If they accept the penalty, it brings up a 3rd and 3. How many choices do they get, I wonder?
Yep.
Yeah, I think they probably called it right, and Ben maybe got just a little confused on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more inclined to agree with you, Frank. Ben Dreith's not the type of referee to give someone a second chance. He calls it pretty tight.
So they, of course, accept the penalty, making it 3rd down and 3 now out of the 27-yard line. Cunningham, 4-man rush. steps out to his right and runs for the first down and is out of bounds at the 36-yard line. A run out by Gene Atkins, and that time escaping the rusher Frank Warren. And a little action on the far side with Atkins and Reichenbach getting into it for the moment.
A very risky line stunt by the New Orleans Saints as they loop clear down to the inside. And I mean, that's a stunt that may work against a quarterback with without mobility. But it's not going to work. Randall Cunningham. Watch it for the right side of your screen. See the looping stunt to the inside? Well, there's absolutely no one out there. And that's just a guaranteed first down. Gene Atkins is in really no position at all to tackle Cunningham, short of him picking up a first down.
First and 10, 36-yard line. Cunningham staying in the pocket, firing for the far side, and incomplete. Intended for the diving Chris Carter. Toy Cook with the coverage. Second and 10.
Talk about the weakness of the New Orleans pass defense. They are 27th in the league coming into tonight, or rather after 14 games. They have given up a lot of big plays, and this has been a real puzzlement for head coach Jim Mora and his staff because they do contain the run so well. They have a good pass rush. Key man there, of course, Pat Swilling, number 56, outstanding linebacker. But they're going to have to do something to contain Cunningham, not take it inside. You give him the outside, and he's going to ramble for the first down as he did a few moments ago.
That Keith Byers setting up in the slot left and now back in the backfield alongside Tony from the 36-yard line. Here's Tony working off a block from Byers, but coming up to make the play is Vaughn Johnson, number 53, the fourth-year linebacker out of North Carolina State. Funny, Johnson and Mills don't get a lot of the publicity, but last night Jim Moore saying, hey, if either of these guys went to the Pro Bowl, they deserve it.
Well, I know that there are vaunted groups of linebackers around the National Football League, and that they come to mind on different teams. The group in New York with Banks and Lawrence Taylor and Reasons, but Swilling, Jackson, Mills, and Johnson. But there's not a group of linebackers in this league any better than that boy.
Third and 9 from the 36. Cunningham loses the football. Anthony Tony is there to cover it and save it at the 27 after Frank Warren stripped it from Cunningham.
Well, it's another looping stunt by New Orleans. This one the exact opposite of the one they ran before and got caught. This time Warren from the inside loops around to the outside. There's Frank Warren in the down stance. He's the guy to the right of the screen. Watch him loop to the outside. See, he has two things there. He has pressure and he has contained. Cunningham can't go to the outside, and there comes the ball, and Anthony Tony in the right spot. We've got a player down. You notice the difference there, though, guys? When he's outside, he has contain and pressure at the same time. And there's James Gethers, Jumpy Gethers, one of the Saint defensive linemen down on the field.
Looking at the right knee. Gethers, of course, key man on the pass rush for the Saints.
Let me go back and try to describe. Remember the last time when Cunningham, who was back here, got away? I can't seem to get the old telestrator to work here, guys. Having a mini malfunction. Why don't you go ahead and roll the tape? You see Frank Warren, he'll make contact with his guard right there. Now watch him loop to the outside. Well, and there's Cunningham, who started to the right, has to stop, come back to the inside. Boy, that's just an excellent play by Frank Warren and a good defensive call.
Of course, that's the best way to defense Cunningham. Stay to the outside. Make sure that if he's going to come anywhere, he's going to come up the middle, and either that or go with a spy. One man assigned to stay with him. It could be a secondary man, or it could be a linebacker. And Jim Mora, the Saints coach, said they might consider that. They've worked on it. If they feel they have to go to it, they would definitely go to it. But Cunningham, there's no question about it. He offers you all kinds of problems, dropping back to pass. A moment ago, we saw him run for his 30th first down as he's up close to 500 yards in rushing. What a threat he is.
Jumpy Gethers, and his specialty, ironically, on a play on which he gets injured, is recovering fumbles. He's recovered 5 of them this season. He was away from the end of that play, and apparently out for, we would surmise, at least tonight. And we'll get a report, of course, on Jumpy Gethers as he is assisted off the field. His place to be taken, in all likelihood, by their number 1 draft choice, Wayne Martin, who's played about half the time anyway. New punter, this week's Eagle punter, Rick Wooten Tootin, just signed during the week. Max Runniger is gone. And Tootin's first kick is a wobbly end-over-end kick, which is fair caught by Bobby Morse, a one-time Eagle at the 38-yard line, a 36-yard punt. New Orleans has the ball for the first time in the game when we come back to the Superdome. John Forcade, local kid, went to high school about 10 miles from the Superdome, attended the University of Mississippi, and now in his second consecutive start, good week last week, 302 yards on just 15 completions. At Buffalo, Dalton Hilliard and Buford Jordan are the running backs. Martin and Hill are the wideouts. Hobie Brenner is the tight end. The guys up front, Haverdink, the rookie out of Western Michigan, doing a nice job. Brock, the veteran, on the other side. Fred Edelman, longtime offensive lineman for the Saints, hurt again tonight and on the inactive list. And Forcade going for it all for Perryman on first down, and Perryman makes the catch at the 15-yard line. And a flag is down back at the 30. Back at the Saints' 30-yard line.
And I think this is going to come back.
And the umpire made the call, and that's normally what you'll see, the holding call. The umpire, Dave Moss, holding signaled by Ben Dreith, and there went a 47-yard reception.
Number 65. 10-yard first down.
Steve Trapillo.
Steve Trapillo is the right guard, and already in this game, two bad breaks for New Orleans. One, the Cunningham fumble that Tony is there to recover, and now the long pass coming back. There's Trapillo, 65, to the right of the center. Now he's working against Mike Pitts, number 74. Pitts gets the outside shoulder, and Trapillo called by the umpire for hanging on to the right side and dragging him down. But still a fabulous throw by Forcade and a good reception that time by Brett Perriman.
First and 20 now from the 28-yard line. Early first quarter with no score.
And here comes the pass rush if he throws.
And Jordan gets stopped as he exits the backfield. Jerome Brown is right there to make the play. And let's take a look at this Eagle defense with the scintillating front four. White, Pitts, Brown, and Simmons. And then the linebackers, Joyner, Byron Evans, doing a very capable job in the middle, and Al Harris, the one-time Bear. The secondary, Jenkins, and Everett starts for Eric Allen. Waters and Hopkins are the safeties. Remember, Allen was horsing around the day before their game last week, sprained his ankle, missed half the Dallas game, and is not on the starting lineup tonight. Double tight end setup on second and 20, and a one-handed grab by Josh Height, who takes it out to the 43-yard line. About 5 yards shy of the first down. Byron Evans makes the tackle.
I think that's the kind of a passing game that New Orleans is going to have to employ early. It's only a three-step drop. See, there's the 1, the 2, the 3. Stop, get rid of it. That's the only way that they're going to defeat the pass rush of the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's a good call for Forcade, especially early in this game. Carl Smith, their offensive coordinator, that's the way to get it started. I don't think you can ask Forcade to stand back there for 5 seconds against maybe the best pass rush in the league.
3rd and 5 out of the shotgun with 4 receivers, 3 of them now on the right side, and they set it up the other way for Hilliard. He has to get to the 48 for the first down and gets to the 50. Stopped by Hogue and Brown. So they send Hill in motion, had 3 receivers coming out the right side, and as they love to do, they go over to Hilliard on the backside.
Perfect call against the safety blitz, and perfectly executed by John Forcade. He's shown a lot of cool. We talked about his actions in Buffalo a week ago. He threw for 300 yards there. Here comes the pressure coming from the outside as Frizzell is right in his face, but the call was made. Perfect one to do it. He knew exactly where he had to go, and he gets the first down.
That's Hilliard's 48th catch of the season, second on the club to Eric Martin. Double slot to the right. And on first down from midfield, the pass is lofted too high out of the reach of the 6'5" Hobie Brenner. 2nd and 10.
For that time inside, Mike Pitts working against Steve Trapillo, exactly the same move, and it was equally as successful as it was the last time, only this time Trapillo dodged the holding call. This is a front four that plays it the old-fashioned way. Here it is again on the inside. Watch 74 against Trapillo. See, there's that same rip move, and Trapillo's holding on again for dear life. But this is that old-fashioned kind of front four for Philadelphia. In a passing situation, you feel a tenseness in the air.
2nd and 10. They have Hilliard as a wide receiver to the right. A flag goes down. The pass is intended for Perryman. It's well underthrown, and the pass, the flag at the outset of the play, and again it will be against New Orleans. And Philadelphia here will have the option of taking the play an incomplete pass and making it 3rd down and 10 or 2nd and 20.
Frank, as you well know, and Al, both of you, a defensive line's worth.
Hands, number 65 on the offense. Face.
Well, that's, guess who? Steve Trapillo again. A defensive line's worth isn't measured just in sacks. I mean, look what we've had so far. 2 holding calls already forced upon the Saints offensive line by this just tenacious group of Eagles up front. There's the right hand up on the face mask again of Mike Pitts. And you know, that's just one of those inadvertent things that happens and you find it up there, but boy, you got to get it down in a hurry.
Of the 53 Eagles sacks, 39 of them have come from that front 4. That's a remarkable number. Usually you look at a team and you see Lawrence Taylor, you see an outside linebacker that leads in sacks. Not so here.
2nd and 20, and Dalton Hilliard takes it out to the 43-yard line after he was nearly stopped at the line of scrimmage. It's Byron Evans who makes the tackle. The ball will be spotted at the 43, and it will set up a 3rd down and 16. Dalton Hilliard, tremendous year, both rushing and receiving, and he's thrown 1 pass this season, and it would figure he completed it for a touchdown.
And the New Orleans Saints in a situation so many Eagle opponents have found themselves in, and the Eagles with 52 takeaways, and they get a team in a situation like this, and then they just unloose this tremendous pass rush and sit back and pick it off. Either that or they swat it out of the quarterback's hand. They make their own turnover. 3rd down, 16, 4-man rush. Fourcade stays in the pocket and then throws it halfway to Bogalusa, intended for Brett Perriman, and New Orleans will have to punt.
Halfway to where?
Bogalusa.
There's Bobby Hebert on the sidelines, who doing the best he can, but make no doubt about it, not the least bit happy that he's been demoted. A very odd year for Hebert. 15 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, but has been at odds with a lot of his wide receivers and very vocal on the field in the way he addresses them after they might make a mistake. It really hasn't put himself in great light with his teammates.
Tommy Barnhart to kick a good deep kick. Anthony Edwards calls for a fair catch, and why in the world are you going to call for a fair catch on your 6-yard line?
Well, the only reason is you get disoriented. You're not sure exactly where you are.
Because otherwise, you figure you're better off letting it bounce, and all of a sudden we've got another flag, and that's going to come back anyway. So they're going to get Edwards off the hook.
This is going to be very difficult for New Orleans to overcome. They're not playing for the playoffs. They're only playing because they want to look good in front of the
Number
nation.
27 offense, holding. 10 yards, 4th down.
You know, your point earlier, Dan, it's not in effect here because of a special teams play, but Philadelphia creating a lot of penalties for the opposition this season.
There's Antonio Gibson there at the top of your screen, and his man makes an inside move, and he grabs him and brings him down, working against Andre Waters. And I mean, this is going to be tough for New Orleans.
Just to follow up statistically on your point, people think of the Eagles as a rough team, a team that gets penalized a lot. The opposition has been penalized more than the Eagles have this season.
Well, right now it's the Eagles playing smart football.
Barnhart's kick. Crowd is cheering because there's no laundry, and a great open field tackle is made at the 18 by Benny Thompson, who was just activated tonight. 49-yard kick. Tackle made on Edwards.
And I think about as tough a thing to do as you're going to do in this game of football, and you can see he's really turned on with it. Benny Thompson just activated today. Tough thing to do, full stride, and he makes the big play, and the Eagles will start near their 19-yard line. Great play by Thompson.
Back at the Superdome, each team has had the ball once. No score. We have 7 minutes and 45 seconds to play in the first quarter. And Philadelphia begins this possession at its own 18-yard line with Randall Cunningham taking a short drop and then flipping one out into the flat to the tight end Keith Jackson, who gets dragged down by Ricky Jackson. And as far as the Saints are concerned, we mentioned they are number 1 in rush defense. And you'll take a look here at the fact that New Orleans in their last 11 games has limited the opposition to under 100 yards. One shy of the record, the Rams with the fearsome foursome back in 1967, the Boston Patriots before they moved to Foxborough in 66, and the Chicago Bears among those with 10 or more games. So the Saints trying to write their name alongside the Rams tonight as Anthony Toney gets stopped for no gain. And if they keep that up, it will be a 12th consecutive game.
And a moment ago, Keith Jackson, the Pro Bowl tight end for the Eagles, who has been hurt on and off all season, who came close to the first down a few moments ago, limped off the field. He's had knee problems, he's had back troubles, he's had an ankle problem, and he is now left, and they are working on him on the sideline. They thought he was back to the top form. He caught 81 passes a year ago, and he caught 12 earlier in the season. Now he looks like he's ready to go, but you can see he's limping noticeably there.
3rd and 1 as they come up in a tight formation. And diving for a first down is Keith Myers, going over the top and taking it out to the 30. So a first down. Here comes Jackson back, and you can see that black stripe, that black tape across the Eagles' wings, and everybody, of course, mourning the loss of Doug Scoville, the Eagles' quarterback coach. The armbands worn by members of the coaching staff there. Doug Scoville, at the age of 62, dying of a heart attack a week ago Saturday. Ed Hughes, longtime assistant with the Bears, coming over to take Scoville's spot for the rest of the season.
And he worked with Scoville when they were both with the 49ers under Dick Nolan a few years ago.
A fake reverse on first down, and getting nowhere is Anthony Toney as Sam Mills comes in to break up the play for a 4-yard loss.
Boy, in its inception, that play looked like it was going to work. It looked wide open, and Sam Mills really doing a fine job of reading it all the way from the inside, but what hurt was the contain, and now it's the officiating crew's turn to flag one on Philadelphia. Look at Pat Swilling, the way he's fighting off Keith Jackson, staying to the outside. Boy, and his forcing Toney back to the inside is what made that play happen.
On the offense, illegal block. They declined the penalty. It's 2nd down.
And they decline it because it means the play counts, and
well, we saw
second down instead of first.
Yeah, we saw it right there. It's Jackson working against Swilling.
Just gave him a shove to the outside. You'll see it right here. Now he just gives him a push to the outside right in front of the official. That ought to get you flagged.
It's obvious, though, in watching the blocking technique, though, used by Keith Jackson, he's hurting. I mean, he's really not able to drive off that leg, at least not now.
2nd and 14 from the 26-yard line. Cunningham has to dart away again. And Randall has it stripped. Loose ball at the 36-yard line, and the Saints recover. Brett Maxey recovered, and Ricky Jackson was the man who stripped it.
Well, we are back to that last play where Pat Swilling forced the reverse back to the inside. This time it's Pat Swilling and his pressure coming from the outside that forces Randall Cunningham to take off in the opposite direction.
Jackson, a 9-year veteran, still has the speed. He catches up with Cunningham when he tries to break it back to the inside.
There's Swilling coming from the left. He forces Randall out of the pocket, and there is Ricky Jackson, as we have been seeing all year long, starting in our opening game with Lawrence Taylor, that tomahawk move. Here comes Swilling, beats Keith Jackson, then he gets by Ken Reed, sends Cunningham out of there, but watch the hatchet. Whack, right there, knocks the ball out. Big time play by Ricky Jackson, but he's been doing that for a long time.
Cunningham fumbling twice in the first quarter, losing one from the 35-yard line. Hilliard getting outside and bumped out of bounds after a 4-yard pickup. Izell Jenkins up from the corner to make the play after a gain of about 4. Buford Jordan leading the way with a block. We have 5:06 to play in a scoreless opening period. Forcade went to Mississippi. He's played in the Canadian League. He's played in the USFL, arena football, and were it not for the strike in '87, he'd probably be coaching high school football right now. Saints picked him up for their replacement team, and he won a spot. 2nd and 6 as Forcade puts it up and threw it up for grabs as Eric Martin was the intended receiver, and Eric Everett, the guy taking Eric Allen's place, comes in to bust the play up.
Martin had a little bit of an opening, and Forquet just a little late delivering the ball. He could have fired it there. He throws it a little late and almost picked off.
Well, Martin could have helped him out a little bit, though, by coming back to the ball. Eric Martin makes his break to the outside and then doesn't really come back upfield, Frank.
You're an outside receiver, and you look back and that quarterback hasn't cocked or is just cocking. Then you make that acute angle back to the sidelines. Give him the angle.
Third down, 6. 3 receivers set to the left, out of the shotgun. 4-man rush. Forquet has to step up. Throwing on the run. Throws a little bit behind the receiver, Martin, but he makes the catch at the 18-yard line for a first down. Nice adjustment by Martin that time to come back to get it.
But this is another dimension that Forquet has brought to the Saints, to Bobby Hebert, who really was not a scrambling quarterback. Forquet last week against the Bills was very successful in many of his completions, 15 of 27 last week. He rolled out of the pocket just like he did there. Saved himself, stayed alive, found his receiver, and got the first down.
That is maybe not the most beautiful of catches, but that's as quality a catch as we will see all season long that time by Eric Martin.
13-yard pickup, double wing to the left. As Forquet lost one, the catch is made by Brenner, and he pays the price immediately, going nowhere. Al Harris with the coverage for a loss of 1, or close to no gain, as though spotted at about the 18-yard line. Obie Brenner, 9th year out of the University of Southern California.
One of the ironies of this game, Forquet replacing Bobby Hebert last week as a starter, and their careers paralleling. Forquet took a long time to get here. He went to the Canadian Football League, Arena Football, USFL, but they played against each other in a state championship high school game here. And Bobby Hebert went to South Lafourche, and meanwhile Forquet went to Archbishop Shaw High School, and years ago they went up against each other as high school players.
2nd and 10, Forquet throwing, great pack, and a touchdown, Eric Martin.
Somebody tell New Orleans that they're out of the playoffs.
You know, Al asked Jim Mora to give us a thumbnail sketch on his receivers, what he thought of them last night. He went right down, and one of the things he said about Eric Martin, good hands, great hands.
There were, I guess I should say, on that last touchdown, 3 Eagles within a yard of the football. Forquet throws it right between all 3, and Martin makes a sensational catch. One-hand stab.
Oh, hello. Wes Hopkins, Eric Allen was there, Andrew Waters. And I tell you, he threw that off balance, and what a strong arm.
Morton Anderson boots it through, and so after the Cunningham fumble, they take over at the 35. Martin makes 2 brilliant catches on the drive, and New Orleans leads it 7-0.
One more time, if we could, Eric Martin. Boy, that's just as good as it gets, and New Orleans has overcome a lot of mistakes to get on the scoreboard first.
That's Reggie White on the inside of the Philadelphia Eagles. Forquet knows he's there. Can't step into it, and still strong arms it to Eric Martin.
Look at that. Nice job freezing that, guys. I mean, that's not easy to do.
Morton Anderson, his first kickoff, resulted in a touchback. This time puts it down to the 5-yard line. Mark Higgs gets buried at the 9. And Bobby Morse, the one-time Eagle, special teams demon, comes down to make the tackle. 3:12 to play in the opening quarter. Cunningham and the Eagles trailing 7-0. Scoring drive after they nearly self-destructed on their first drive, incurring 30 yards worth of penalties. They pick up a fumble by Cunningham, exploit that, going 35 yards, lead 7-0, and the Eagles now on a quick little pass out in the flat to Ron Johnson, who gets belted and pushed back from the 12. And the Saints, to this point, defensively trying to take a page out of the Eagles' book.
Well, I don't know that they're trying to take a page out of the Eagles' book. I think the New Orleans defense has played this way for years. There's the touchdown once again as we go back and relive it. Eric Martin with that one-handed stab. But this is really, and John Forquet, this has to be more fun than arena football, though, John, isn't it? You ran all that way in arena football, you ran into a net.
2nd and 6, and the pass is caught by Byers, and that's a first down as Byers is taken down by the other 41, Toy Cook. Byers, of course, is a man they like to throw to a lot. In fact, he's their leading receiver. That's his 60th grab of the season.
Al, I wanted to go back to the point I was making about New Orleans and the way they've played defense. I mean, that has been a trademark of this team. You know, putting 7 or 8 guys on the ball carrier every play. This is one of the hardest hitting teams in the league. Has been for a very, very long time. There's their defensive coordinator, Steve Sidwell. He likes this group.
1st and 10 from the 21-yard line, and Cunningham escaping, throwing against the grain, throwing it up for grabs, picked off, and then dropped at the 34-yard line. It was almost too easy for Gene Atkins. I mean, there was no Eagle close to him, and that says it all.
Cunningham flushed out of the pocket once again. Looked like he was going to run. Pat Swilling once again chasing Cunningham out of the pocket. Number 56, bottom of your screen. He'll apply the pursuit, forces Cunningham up. Swilling now with good speed gets back. Cunningham just threw this away. Atkins was running with the ball before it even got to him. Cunningham really got buried.
The ball work was beautiful. Look at the shot Randall takes at the end. Everything up until the point in time where he threw the ball was excellent.
2nd and 10, and here's Byers bulling his way for a first down out to the 34-yard line, exploiting a hole over the right side. Brett Maxey comes up to make the tackle.
Talk about the versatility of Cunningham. The same would apply to Keith Byers. The Eagles often don't bring in a third wide receiver because Byers, and Al just mentioned, is their leading receiver. They can use him from the backfield as a receiver. They can split him out wide as a receiver and use him as the third wide receiver. Number 1 draft pick, 86, troubles with foot problems the first 2 years, has really come around.
Quick count, 1st and 10, 34-yard line. Cunningham has time, throws too far down at the 30-yard line, intended for Carlos Carson, the longtime Kansas City Chief, with Mike Quick on injured reserve, and Quick has had operations on both knees within the past 2 months, and Garrity hurt. They go to the waiver wire and pick up Carson, who had asked for his release and was granted such from Kansas City. College basketball, we've got a doubleheader coming up Saturday, 1:30 Eastern time. It'll be the University of Nevada, Las Vegas against Iowa, and then Seton Hall taking on Michigan. Good day of college basketball is Saturday on ABC.
I've seen that Seton Hall, Michigan matchup before.
Yeah, recently. 2nd and 10, the pass is caught by the tight end Keith Jackson out at the 39-yard line, and Gene Atkins, who a moment ago thought he had a sure interception, makes the tackle. Spotted at the 38, and they are about 6 yards short of a first down. Jim Mora, winningest coach in the history of the Saints. In fact, the only coach to ever lead the Saints to a winning season. 4th year here, 3rd down and 6. From the shotgun. Byers swinging to the outside, and another fumble. Loose ball at the 38-yard line. Milton Mack created the fumble, and it's recovered by... No signal yet.
Yeah, I think
Swilling is at the bottom of the pile, but the officials haven't signaled. Swilling is there. He has it. New Orleans ball.
It's the play every team in the league runs out of the shotgun formation, that underneath handoff, and this really looked like a wide open play. I thought Keith Byers was going to get the first down. Look how wide open it is out here. His offensive lineman, Mike Shadd, out in front was tripped up and didn't get there, and then Milton Mack, number 24, pops the ball out.
And Atkins and Swilling both scrambling for it.
And it's Atkins who actually winds up with the ball, the same man who blew the easy interception, getting credit for the fumble recovery at the 38-yard line. 20 seconds to go in the quarter. Eagles have just lost their second fumble. And Forcade gives it to Hilliard over the left side. And Hilliard gets pushed all the way back after his forward progress had taken him to the 35-yard line. Byron Evans gets credit for the tackle, and the clock will tick down and end the quarter as we take another look at Byers' fumble.
Again, watch the play by Milton Mack. Number 24 comes in, and it's really not a very hard hit. It's really more of a glancing blow that pops the ball out. But there's Gene Atkins, fights his own teammates, but comes away with the ball. And I think everyone in green and white so far realizes this might be more than they bargained for.
Back we come after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Start the second quarter in New Orleans. Buddy Ryan has watched his team lead the league in takeaways, but in the first quarter, Philadelphia fumbling 3 times, losing 2 of them, and the Saints trying to exploit the situation on a 2nd down and 6 as we start the second quarter. New Orleans on top 7-0, and Forcade with a very deep drop. Being pressured, throwing over the middle. Hilliard makes the catch. He's inside the 10. Touchdown, New Orleans.
Football must seem like a long time ago to John Forcade.
Oh, we talked about his ability to scramble.
You know what this is, Frank? This is a screen pass that doesn't materialize. The Eagles are all over the screen, and Forcade innovates. His player, Dalton Hilliard, stays alive, and somehow Forcade finds it. Forcade the holder on the extra point.
And Anderson splits the uprights, and it's 14-0 Saints, who have nothing at stake. The Eagles, of course, with a lot at stake.
4 touchdowns now for this youngster in, 5 quarters plus? 2 against the Bills. Let's watch him again. They pointed out the screen attempt.
There's the screen. You see the top of the screen? John sees it's blown. The Eagles are right in the middle of it, and somehow he stays alive and gets a lot of help from number 21, Dalton Hilliard. Very reminiscent of a play last week against Buffalo, where Hilliard takes the pass and goes the distance.
But again, once he knew he was in trouble, he got out of there and had the speed. There it is right there. He knows he's got to get out. A lot of composure, looks downfield, finds Hilliard, and Hilliard, who had a 54-yard touchdown pass from him last week up in Buffalo, takes it in. This game is easy for Forcade.
Yeah,
He really has brought a lot of spark to this offensive unit that was, quite frankly, struggling under Bobby Hebert. They had less than 200 yards in each of 5 games before he was replaced last week. And Jim Morris set him down, looking for a spark, and he got it from John Forcade.
Well, the one thing you can say to Philadelphia's in their favor is that they certainly know how to come from behind. They've been making a habit of it all season long.
And interestingly enough, the New Orleans Saints have led on 4 occasions this season at the half and into the third quarter, and they have lost those 4 games. And not many teams have done that, going all the way back to the Cardinals back in 1953.
And one of them was that real killer to the Rams, which they lost in overtime. And Anderson sends that one to Bogalusa.
Again.
Yes, right.
Must be a big township.
Yep. Well, next week, and that's right, there will be football on Christmas. So we hope you'll spend part of your Christmas night with us, because we'll be at the Metrodome. Cincinnati against Minnesota. Now, there are a lot of implications, and we promise before we're done tonight, we'll tell you about all of the playoff possibilities. Both teams still in contention for the playoffs. The Vikings, with a victory in that game, would win the NFC Central. They had a chance to do it yesterday, but lost in overtime. The Bengals, of course, are still very much alive in the playoff hunt. It will all become clearer before Monday night, but that's your Christmas night, Monday night football matchup.
And we'll be caroling down in the mall in Minneapolis.
From the 20-yard line, on first down, it's Byers, and he reaches all the way out to the 29, short of the first down by 1. Mills in on the tackle along with Ricky Jackson.
A little bit of a burden now on Randall Cunningham's shoulders to not try to do it all by himself. He's such a special athlete, such a gifted player, and such a darn good quarterback that you have that bravado, that feeling that I can do anything at any time. He needs to utilize all 11 offensive players.
Here's Byers on 2nd and 1, and he just about gets the 1. All he has to do is get the nose of the ball to the stripe of the 30, and they're going to push it back a little bit as they spot it, and the nose of the ball may not be on the stripe of the 30, which would be 3rd down and that much to go. And in fact, Ben Dreith is going to bring the chains in, and they're also going to attend to Dave Waymer. Number 44, the longtime corner, now playing free safety, who needs the attention. First 3 possessions tonight, the Eagles picked up 1 first down on their first drive and then were forced to punt. Then 2 fumbles, both fumbles resulting in subsequent Saints touchdowns. Byers very close to losing the ball here on this last play, as he comes up a little bit short of the first down.
That's Dave Waymer who applied the hit to Byers.
Look at that.
He is lost it at one point, is able to recover as Vaughn Johnson takes him down, and Waymer now walking off the field. Does appear to be all right. Byers a big man. You pick him on head and head, he goes about 240.
I think that's what Dave Waymer is saying right now. Why didn't somebody tell me that Byers weighs that much? That shockwave went all the way down to the ankle.
Third down and inches. The Saints have been excelling in these situations, 3rd and 1 or less all season long. And let's see if they can do it again. But no, this time it's Byers who takes it out to the 32-yard line and picks up the first down.
Byers has really added to the Eagles' running game, which has been their principal offensive weapon going back to that loss against the Bears early on, the 4th season, in which Cunningham threw the ball 62 times. He threw it for 400 yards, but they lost the game, and they went back to kind of a running game. Of course, they lost Mike Quick and they lost Greg Garrity, but Byers has really developed, and against the Giants late in that game, that cold game they lost a couple of weeks ago, they held the ball for over 5.5 minutes, and Byers carried it 8 times in that drive.
First and 10, Philadelphia from the 32-yard line, and there's a flag down as the Saints came flying through, and in fact there is no play at all as Ricky Jackson was across the line.
Well, Ron Heller, the right tackle, rocked back in his stance as well.
Number 73, false start, offense, 5 yards. First down.
And it's called against Heller.
Heller playing with a damaged left hand and has it pretty heavily wrapped. There he is, number 73.
At the bottom, and that's all it takes. That's a false start. Sat back on his haunches, and that's what got Ricky Jackson off to the quick start into the neutral zone. Not easy being an offensive lineman when that's all everyone else on the field is allowed to jump and dance and move and motion all around the field, and all you do is drop your butt a little bit and you get a flag.
See, that left hand is hard to hold with it wrapped like that also.
Conrad Dobler had one of those one time, and his hand got better, and he left it on for another 7 weeks.
Put a blackjack in it.
First and 15, Cunningham fires to Byers over the middle, 40, the 50, into Saints territory, being chased by Waymer and finally dragged down inside the 15-yard line.
Boy, this is what has been driving Jim Mora crazy all season long. They do a great job defensively. They shut down the run. They get him in a predictable situation of pass. They pull it off, and they get the big play. They've been giving up the big play all season long.
Well, Sam Mills right there, Frank. You saw it, 51, was locked up one-on-one with Keith Byers, and Byers gave him that juke to the inside, and Mills is nowhere to be seen.
And Byers' surprising speed as the free safety Waymer finally runs him down, but not until he gets into the 15-yard line.
That's the longest play from scrimmage in the career of Byers, and believe it or not, it's only the 5th pass play this year of 40 or more yards as Waymer is shaken up again, the 5th for Philadelphia, way below the league average. In fact, right near the bottom of the league in that department. They have not pulled off the big plays, but as Frank mentioned, New Orleans has been giving up the big plays.
And Dave Waymer looks like he's going to have to come out of the game. Shaken up earlier on the tackle on Keith Byers, and now once again injures himself tackling Keith Byers after the long pass. Almost has a face mask. You would think if there was an official anywhere who could have seen it from the proper angle, Waymer may have gotten a face mask penalty anyway. And I think Dave is telling Byers, "You're killing me, man. I don't want to see you anymore."
So that Saint defense is now -2 regulars. Jumpy Geathers was hurt earlier and has not been back in the game. His spot taken by Wayne Martin, the rookie, and now Brett Maxey comes in to spell Waymer at free safety. And the report is muscle cramps for Dave Waymer as he comes out here, and Philadelphia has a first and 10 at the 14. 12:20 to go in the half. Cunningham going to the end zone, and the catch is made for the touchdown. Ron Johnson making the catch in the corner of the end zone, and Philadelphia is on the board.
Robert Massey trying to stay with Johnson. And the Eagles use this play so effectively. A little fade into the corner of the end zone when they get down close. Chris Carter has made a great season out of it. He's caught 4 against Dallas this way. And Cunningham has a great touch for this play. Angling away from the defender. In this case, Massey's trying to catch up. And Cunningham was perfect with it.
I really was looking for the flag. I thought Massey was going to get called for interference as he hits Johnson with the left hand. But boy, what a throw by Randall Cunningham. Almost a jump pass.
Roger Ruzek's extra point is good. That is Johnson's 17th catch of the season and his first touchdown. The wide receiver out of Long Beach State, and so the 60-yard pass to Byers, and then the 13-yard Cunningham to Johnson completion. And just like that, Philadelphia halves the lead.
The receiver is and the defender is at such a disadvantage on this. The defender trying to get into the play, and Cunningham just laid it in perfectly.
Mike Gifford and Dan Beardorf, 14-7 in favor of the Saints, with Philadelphia to kick off and Roger Ruzek to put it in the air for the Eagles. Ruzek, their 3rd place kicker this season, and tonight they go to their 4th punter. And Ruzek's kick is taken at the 4 by Paul Frazier, who brings it back out to the 20-yard line, and the Saints will set up shop there. Britt Hager comes down to make the tackle, and John Forcade will lead him out with 12 minutes and 5 seconds to go in the half. Interesting little thing here in our never-ending effort to continue to enlighten you. The Saints, as you can see, have been ahead 57% of the time this season, tied about a quarter of the time, behind less than a fifth of the time this year. And there are the NFL averages at the bottom. And that's a team that's 7-7. So what it tells you, and Frank touched on it before, they've had the leads. They're used to having the lead at the half, at the end of 3, but they're only 7-7. And they've been subject to the teams coming from behind on them.
It'll make a coach take up a different profession.
Usually forced to take up another profession.
Yeah. 1st and 10, and Forcade is in the grasp from Jerome Brown.
Well, Jerome Brown got everybody. After Forcade, he was going after Ben Dreith. There was no one left. 2 Saints go down on the way to the quarterback, and the old adage, I guess, is a man not to be denied, and that's Jerome Brown. Just watch him in the middle of your screen. Number 99 going against Jim Dombrowski, the guard. He pushes Dalton Hilliard all the way back and just absorbs Forcade. That's brute strength.
I think if I were redesigning that, I might get Hilliard off of Jerome Brown.
Well, I think Hilliard was looking for Dombrowski to delay him a little longer than he did.
2nd and 20 from the 10. Hilliard in motion. He doesn't have to worry about blocking this time. Out in the pattern he goes. Forcade has to scramble, and Forcade moves out to the 15-yard line, picking up 5. Reggie White gets credit for the tackle, number 92. It's funny, they pay so much attention to White that people like Jerome Brown and Clyde Simmons having tremendous seasons, but of course Reggie used to being double-teamed and triple-teamed.
Instead of the Jerry Rice of the defense.
Well, I guess it's a twosome. It's either Reggie White or it's Keith Millard that most people argue back and forth who's the most dominant defensive lineman in the game. I know one thing. I don't know if there's anyone in this game capable of single-handedly blocking Reggie White.
3rd and 15 out of the gun. Play clock down to 4. And Forcade fires to Martin over the middle and through his hands. And so Martin, who made those 2 fabulous catches on the one drive, had it right there, would have had the first down, and instead they punt.
Over the middle and through his hands to Jim Moore's doghouse we go.
Oh, we have seen some strong arming tonight. Randall Cunningham a moment ago off balance fired one. Forcade really had smoke on this one. And there is a sure-handed receiver. We've watched him tonight.
Well, the problem is he couldn't catch it with only one hand. That's where Eric has been doing his best work this evening.
And he broke the route off perfectly, just enough for the first down. What would have been. Barnhart to punt. Good, high, very deep kick. Backing all the way up at the 30 is Anthony Edwards. And Edwards out past the 40. Down the sideline he goes and into Saint territory to the 45-yard line where he's tackled by Joe Colbrand. So a good punt, but a good run back. A run back of 27 yards, and we have 10:27 to go in the half. Visitor Mr. Walter Payton joining us tonight in the booth. What are you up to these days?
Well, right now I'm working my rear off trying to get this expansion team going down in St. Louis.
Ownership for Walter Payton. You've been working with this for quite a while, though, and you're going to be actively involved in it, I understand, Walter?
That's true. Right now we're working with the city, state, and county to facilitate the multi-purpose arena, which will seat about 70,000 people.
On first down, meanwhile, the pass a little bit behind Johnson, who had broken free, and Cunningham came that close to putting another 6 on the board here.
Walter, in reality, ever since you've retired, you've been working in the front office with the Chicago Bears. I know the McCaskies have worked with you, so I mean you've been in that inner circle for a while now.
Well, that's right. Ed McCaskey took me under his wings to show me the inner workings of the organization, which give me a benefit when I when and if I do get the opportunity, and that's been good for me. And one of the reasons that I retired when I did was because of this.
Oh yeah, maybe it's because you had all the records.
Got a question for you coming up in a moment, Walter.
Second down and 10 for Philadelphia from the 44-yard line as Cunningham drops back, fires over the middle to Jackson. He makes the catch and has a first down, taking it to the 31-yard line with Pat Swilling.
Well, if I could, for so many years, you, of course, on the offense, you were with Buddy Ryan when he was the defensive coordinator at Chicago. Are you surprised that he's mellowed so much over the years?
Not at all. Buddy is basically the same way he was when he was with the Chicago Bears. Right now, simply because he is the head coach, it's more focus on him. I don't think he's changed one bit.
Does he talk to you?
Yeah, Buddy. I saw him prior to the game, and he gave me a hug and a kiss. I don't know what to say about it.
He's going to hug and kiss Sam, and he couldn't get to him.
From the 32-yard line, the pass overthrown intended for Keith Jackson.
How about this quarterback, Randall Cunningham? We've talked so much about him. He's one of the great superstars. But have you ever seen anything quite like it, Walter?
You know what? The first time I had an opportunity to see him play in person was when they played Chicago in the Fog Bowl. And I tell you what, I looked at the way he handled himself, the way he passed the ball, and how he hit his receivers. And if it hadn't been a foggy day, I think the score would have been a little bit different.
Sweetness, you're looking great. Thanks for the visit.
Thank
Good
you.
luck in St. Louis, Walter.
Second and 10 as Cunningham goes back to throw, under pressure, chase, still looking and going the other way, and incomplete, intended eventually for Anthony Coney, who in the playbook was probably choice number 5. So it'll be third down and 10 at the 32-yard line. 14-7 is the score in favor of the Saints.
Does Payton not look like he could walk right out there and do it all over again?
Oh, yeah.
He's the guy that's going to get it done. What do you say? He's never not done something he wanted to.
On third and 10, Cunningham hit as he throws, but the catch is made by Ron Johnson, and his forward progress should be enough to net him the first down. And Pat Swilling that time coming in to bury Cunningham as he released.
And you get the feeling, we were talking about it a moment ago, all of a sudden things are starting to shut down. The Eagles are starting to be the Eagles. They threw it down just a little tighter in each play.
Every quarterback in the league can throw the ball with a lot of zip on it when he steps into it. There aren't many that can throw the ball as they're falling backwards the way Randall Cunningham did. I mean, he doesn't even get a chance to step forward. Swilling is throwing all technique out the window, and yet this ball doesn't even have an arc on it. I mean, it comes flying in there like that. He's very, very gifted.
First and 10 from the 21-yard line as Cunningham fires, and Byers does a great job of staying inbounds, getting both feet down, and a first and goal at the 8.
And you can repeat that again, Dan, if you will. It's the same thing. Off balance, just drilled it. Hear it again. You won't find many quarterbacks with that kind of strength, just whipping it.
Again, no step, no chance to step forward, no classic technique. It is nothing more than just having a SAM missile, whatever you want to call it. It's very unique. Very, very few people that have ever had an opportunity to play this game have had a gun like Randall Cunningham.
First and goal at the 8. 8:38 to play in the half, and the Eagles are going to take a timeout.
And you talked about the gun, Dan. I don't think there has ever been a quarterback that can run the football like Randall Cunningham. Buddy Ryan has characterized him as the best runner in the game today. Who's to say?
I guess that means he must be pretty good then.
Yes. Who dat on ABC? Who dat going to beat them Saints is the fabled phrase down here and has been since '87. Well, right now the Eagles trying to beat them Saints. But they trail by 7. They have a first and goal at the 8-yard line. 8:38 to go in the half. Cunningham will run it. And out of bounds at the 4-yard line, and paying the price after Toy Cook made the tackle is Robert Massey.
And one of the Saints still down on the ground. That's Massey. Boy, did you see the shot Randall took at his initial tackler? And Massey down, gets back up, and now Toy Cook is still down. So we had multiple Saints on the ground. Just a scramble to the right by Randall. He doesn't delay much. He pulls it down. But watch Randall with the left hand. Watch him take a pretty good shot right here. That's Cook. An attempt to stiff arm him and get out of the way, and actually looked like Massey was the player that came up and hit Cook.
And both Massey and Cook get up, and each pays the price. And again, Waymer was shaken up before and had to come out.
I will guarantee you that more defensive players get hurt after being hit by their own guys than they ever do get hurt hitting an offensive player.
There's Waymer. He is back in the game. Milton Mack now comes in, and Cook comes out slowly. There's Mack, number 24, as the Eagles have a second down and goal at the 4-yard line.
That change, of course, will not be lost on the Eagles coaching staff upstairs. Cook holding Mack over on the right side.
They've got Carter with Mack now on the left side here, and they love to throw that fade pattern to Carter. Cunningham looked that way, now he goes the other way, and he throws that one out of the end zone. As Ron Johnson was the intended receiver, but he couldn't spring free. It'll be 3rd down and goal at the 4. We mentioned that fade pattern. That's been a favorite play now for the Eagles to Chris Carter, who scored 10 touchdowns this season. 7 on that same type of play.
I think that was a design all the way for Randall Cunningham to take a look over there like he was going to throw that fade to Carter and then come back and work the right side of the field, because there's no such thing as looking to check out the coverage on that fade pattern. You put it up, you put it up. That's all there is to it. That was a design play all the way.
And he took a real cursory glance. Now Carter comes out to the right in a 4-receiver set. 3rd down and goal, and it's knocked down at the line of scrimmage. Wayne Martin, the rookie, the number 1 draft choice out of Arkansas, knocks it down. So 4th down, and Ruzek comes in to attempt a field goal.
Cunningham just trying to time one out to Byers. Byers had just made his cut, and that was batted away.
Matt Cavanaugh to hold. Last week, they faked the field goal, and he threw to Carter for a touchdown. This is a 21-yard attempt. And Ruzek boots it through. The former Cowboy adding 3 and drawing Philadelphia as a flag goes down, temporarily drawing Philadelphia within 4.
And that flag way after the play.
Ben Dreif will tell us about it. And it's either roughing or running into the kicker.
Now that can't be on the player that slid in at the feet.
In either event, it's half the distance to the goal line if Philadelphia wants to take the points off the board.
Running into the kicker, the back leg of the kicker.
Oh, Ben.
Well, here's an interesting choice now for Philadelphia. Do they want the 3, or do they want a 4th and goal from the 2-yard line? That's their option here.
Yeah, I just want you to watch this. Look at the top of your screen. Number 37 coming Oh, that's beyond belief.
Yep.
I must be missing something.
Ruzek ought to get an Academy Award for it. Right out of Stanislavski. He puts on quite an act of probably screaming in pain.
Well, meanwhile, the Eagles apparently are going to accept the penalty. They can take the 3 points, or they can have a 4th and goal, and it's still being discussed apparently. So what's Ryan going to do here?
Benny Thompson has to be in a state of disbelief that he drew this penalty.
They may decline it. Let's see.
Running into the kicker is a 5 taking the field goal.
We're taking the field goal. You heard Cunningham say it. Why would you want? Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're going to go for a field goal from the 4.
What Ben is saying, running into the kicker is 5.
Right, exactly.
Roughing the kicker is 15.
Well, exactly. But at this point, you're talking half the distance to the goal line anyway. That's the key. I mean, it can only be a 2-yard penalty in either case. You can go from the 4 to the 2.
Oh, sure. I mean, the only good news in this whole scenario is that absolutely horrible call ends up not being a factor here. I mean, how do you call that running into the kicker? Now, here it is again. That's Benny Thompson, blocked to the ground, by the way, by a member of the Philadelphia Eagles, and his helmet touches a leg. Oh, come on. Ruzek doesn't even know he's been hit until he looks down and sees someone there,
and he immediately goes into a painful scream.
Well, it doesn't matter, as it turns out.
No.
That is the good news. It wouldn't have any impact.
So a 4-point lead as the Eagles get set to...
Did Ben Drash used to be a kicker?
14-10 New Orleans, and we can tell you that Wednesday night something's happening on ABC with Growing Pains. Head of the class, Doogie Howser, MD, Anything But Love, and China Beach. The best way to spend Wednesday there is a look at the lineup here on ABC.
Bourbon Street is, I guess, a natural habitat for that gentleman. Where else?
Looks like he's worked it a little too long.
Bobby Morris and Paul Frazier are back to receive. Roger Ruzek to kick off. 8:20 to go in the half. Eagles trying to stay on top, in effect, in the NFC East. To the 6-yard line, Morse brings it back out to the 24. 1st and 10 for the Saints, and John Forcade at that spot. Again, Forcade signed by the Saints because of that strike in '87. He was about ready to commence on a high school coaching career, and in fact, talking to him earlier tonight, he said that he was about ready to sign with the Raiders. He was on his way, in fact, to the airport, and he said, "No, I got a chance to stay here. Going to stay with the Saints."
Big, strong kid. Not real tall, but very heavily built. 220 pounds plus, and a lot of it is muscle.
Actually had him back in 1986 for a while.
From the 24-yard line, here's Dalton Hilliard, who picks up 2 yards. Out to the 26, and it will be 2nd down and 8.
You have him listed on the program as 6'1" and 208, and what did he say to you, Dan?
Yeah, I
sized him up on the sideline.
Yeah, I took one. I said 208, no way. I said, what do you think? What do you think, John? 220? He goes, yeah, 220. Tell him 220.
2.8. That's an earlobe.
So I think he admitted to 220 far too quickly. He might be in the deuce and a quarter range.
Very cocky, very confident when he steps into the huddle. That's the reputation that followed him all the way from Ole Miss.
2nd and 8. Here's Hilliard again, and Hilliard runs into his own man and is going for a loss of a yard as he runs right up the bat of Joel Hilgenberg, the center.
I think Reggie White gets an assist there. I think these Eagle defensive linemen are doing more than their load. Reggie White that time takes down a blocker, throws him into Hilliard, and knocks down Hilliard.
3rd and 9 from the 25-yard line. As Forcade comes up in the shotgun. 3 receivers set out to the right, 1 to the left. And Hayward in the backfield to stay in the block. 265-pound fullback White almost jumped, but is able to hold back, and then the pass is dropped, and it's Eric Martin again. And again, it was Martin making those 2 sensational catches, and he followed that up with 2 drops on what would have been 1st down.
Well, that's a guaranteed 1st down for New Orleans,
and Forcade took a lot off this. Martin working against Jenkins, just right in the hands as Frizzell was there defensively.
Tommy Barnhart to punt. Anthony Edwards back to receive at the Philadelphia 30. He puts on an Academy Award performance as Barnhart, but doesn't draw the flag. Kick takes a New Orleans bounce and is out of bounds at the 26-yard line. He made it look good at the end of that play, did Barnhart, as 3 Eagles came very close to him, and the crowd wants a flag, but they don't get it.
Sure it's not Bernhardt.
And Buddy Ryan running out on the field, he wants a penalty for faking. He wants a penalty for faking. I'm sure that's what he's talking to the line judge about now. Hey, I thought it was supposed to be a penalty if a kicker falls down without being touched. Now you be the judge. There's Barnhart. Let's see. Is he touched?
He might have been a little frightened. He thought he was going to get screamed.
Not even touched by an Eagle and sits on his can. Technically, in the rule book, that's supposed to be a penalty.
Robert Drummond is the one putting the pressure on. He did come close.
Yeah, well, this isn't horseshoes.
Yeah, he figured running into the kicker calls were at a premium tonight. From the 25-yard line, a juggling drop by Tony was covered by Ricky Jackson.
What a play by Jackson.
Ricky Jackson, boy, he has been a great performer. 9 years out of Pittsburgh. He played the other side when Hugh Green got all the publicity at Pittsburgh.
Tony's about ready to suck that one into his middle, and Jackson unloaded on him. He still has that speed. You saw him a while ago run down Cunningham, now in his 9th year.
By the way, when they were both at Pitt together, it was always Ricky Jackson that was the leading tackler on that team.
The other team would spend so much time and attention trying to take Green away. Jackson really excelled. Out of the gun, the inside handoff to Tony, and the initial hit was made by Swilling, who's angry with himself because he let Tony come out of his grasp and pick up 1.5 yards, maybe 2.
And there's a consecutive look at the 2 linebackers. Jackson on a great play against Tony, and Swilling with his speed and quickness coming down to make the stop.
Well, the whole purpose, there's a man in motion right there. Take a look to the inside, and the purpose of that motion, Drummond is supposed to hit Pat Swilling, but he goes a little bit too far. He gets beyond Swilling, and Swilling's totally unblocked, able to come in from the backside.
3rd down and 8 from the 28. 4-man rush. And the pass is dropped at the 35-yard line. It was low for Keith Jackson, and he would not have had the first down anyway.
A good defensive team will always keep you in the ball game. And after the last couple of series where momentum has really switched to the side of the Philadelphia Eagles, the Saints defensive team comes up with a good series. That's a nice effort by Keith Jackson, but the ball low, down on the ground. But New Orleans, when they needed to get it back, their defense did it for him.
Atkins pressure on Jackson. Jackson would not have had that first down with the completion.
Rick Tootin to punt. Bobby Morse to receive at the 30-yard line. It's a low line drive kick, but it's angled away, and then it takes a New Orleans bounce and is down at the 41-yard line. So the Saints will have it there with 5 minutes and 31 seconds remaining in the half. Tootin, this week's punter of the week in Philadelphia.
How many have they gone through?
Well, they had Runiger recently, then Telchik, of course, is hurt, and then Randall Cunningham, of course, comes in for the 91-yarders.
And he might be the best.
Yep. An exchange of
53 yards.
An exchange of Christmas greetings there between Gene Atkins and his good friend Keith Jackson from Philadelphia. A very articulate and enjoyable young man is Keith Jackson. I remember talking to him last year one time.
At the 41-yard line, 1st and 10 New Orleans. Lonzel Hill has not caught a pass. He's the man in motion. A little swing out into the flat. That's Paul Frazier for a couple. He's a rookie out of northwestern Louisiana. Izell Jenkins makes the tackle. Looking ahead now, the Saints have all of their timeouts remaining. We have 5:17 to play in the half.
Good open field tackle that time by Jenkins. You know, it's one of those things that just doesn't, it kind of gets swept along, but how often do you see a cornerback and he misses that tackle and it ends up being, instead of an 8-yard play, an 18-yard play. A good open field tackler is Izell Jenkins.
At the 43-yard line, 2nd down and 8. Under 5 minutes to go in the half. 14-10 Saints. Blitz, and Forcade attempts to hit Hill, but Jerome Brown was the guy who came in and forced the issue. Jerome Brown, who's Miami Hurricanes will be right back here 2 weeks from tonight, and so will we for the USF&G Sugar Bowl.
Good look at Buddy Ryan's philosophy of defensive football. Just bring everybody. You outnumber the ones that are trying to protect the quarterback. Somebody's going to come free. That time Simmons did. Forcade had a receiver he could have got the ball to. He just didn't have time to get it there, and that's been the philosophy of Buddy Ryan for so many years, and it is so effective when you have the proper people.
3rd down and 8 from the 43. Out of the shotgun. Blitz again. Forcade under pressure. Going deep for Perriman. Was wide open, but the pass was terrible, and Eric Everett intercepts it. And Everett gets tackled out at the 38-yard line, and there's a penalty marker back down at the 33 of New Orleans for a face mask call against New Orleans.
Well, it's typical Eagle football as they really come with the all-out blitz. Not only in a 4-man line, but they're going to blitz 3 people at the same time. So Forcade has no chance to sit back and hold the ball, and he just miscommunicates with Perriman. Perriman goes to the inside.
Number 65 on the offense, grab the face mask, hold the man down. They decline the penalty, and it's first down.
Well, Steve Trapillo again having his problems up front.
He said something at the start of the telecast, Dan, that Forcade has never seen anything quite like this, and this is what he's never seen. Here is the full, all-out Philadelphia Eagle blitz. He's got a man open at this point, but he also knows he's about to get creamed.
Well, that's Trapillo that time just hauling down Mike Pitts, number 74. You could see it there from the backside. He just dragged him to the ground.
From the 38-yard line on 1st and 10, Cunningham going deep for Johnson. Far too deep, and this time Atkins intercepts it. Down he goes at the 14 initially, and then officially back at about the 10.
And we've got another injured thing now. I guess Robert Massey, who's trying to get up.
Yep, and up he gets at the 10-yard line, but Cunningham severely overthrowing the intended receiver, Chris Carter, and of course it was Atkins who dropped the easy interception earlier, who finally picks one off.
Something amiss on the part of the play of the Philadelphia Eagles. Cunningham just fired that. No receiver even near it, and he was not under pressure.
That is the 3rd turnover tonight for Philadelphia after New Orleans' first. Second quarter has hardly been a Picasso.
And the first quarter was just excellent.
Well, especially if you were a Saints fan.
Well, I mean, good quality play by both teams.
Right. From the 13-yard line on 1st down, it's Buford Jordan out to the 17 with the clock ticking down to about the 4-minute mark here at the Superdome in New Orleans. And this will be the site on the 28th of January of Super Bowl 24. So the Eagles hopeful of a return visit to the Crescent City or the Big Easy, take your choice. 2nd and 10 is Hilliard takes the toss and gets tossed right into the arms of Jerome Brown.
One of the situations to watch here, the left tackle for the New Orleans Saints is Kevin Haverdink, number 70. He's a rookie, their 5th-round draft choice. He's really looking to me like he's got a leg problem. He's walking along. He's been limping the last 3 or 4 plays, and he's been struggling to keep his guy out of there. He's been working against Simmons. Jerome Brown kind of hobbles off the field, but Haverdink looks like he's having a physical problem.
3rd down and 7. Forcade throwing, and at the 25-yard line, the catch is made by Eric Martin for a first down. Broke the pattern off, as you can see, 2 yards past the stripe for the first down marking, and he's able to hold on this time after 2 drops earlier.
Take a look again at Martin. He knows exactly where he has to go to pick up the first down, working against Jenkins. And he angles back to the sidelines and away from Jenkins, and Forcade strong arms it into him.
One thing in watching this first half, it's obvious to all of us now why Jim Mora made a change. John Forcade can play this game.
1st and 10 at the 25. Again, the Saints have all of their timeouts left. Forcade gets a block as he takes off, looking for the first down, and has it. He's out of bounds at the 37. And the crowd, they love him anyway. He's a hometown kid. And especially so after a play like that.
Mora was looking for a spark for his offense, and he found one in John Forcade. Big game against Buffalo in the snow. Last week, a couple of touchdown passes. First 300-yard game since they had midseason in 1987. And he's coming right back with another big game.
Well, he's going to get a block downfield that's really going to allow him to pick up the first down. I think John Tice, the tight end, comes back and really makes the block that allows Forcade to get that first down yardage.
At the 37-yard line. Forcade almost lost the football, and then the next thing you know, slides out to the 43 and turns what could have been a loss or a fumble into a 6-yard gain.
I think he ran out of petrol at that point.
Yeah.
A couple of scrambles, you can see that mouth is open.
It's one of those deals where it looks like he's trying to throw the ball, but it's super glued to his hand.
And he's working on that clock now. He's going to have to catch his breath and get this play off. Picks it up from the sideline.
It's second down and a short 4.
But when you've got the lead, you don't have to hurry. I mean, the most important thing here is that Forcade is settled in enough that he doesn't make an error.
Second and 4 at the 43. Forcade throwing at Perriman, making the catch in Philadelphia territory, and Perriman takes it to the 30 for a first down as we go down to the 2-minute warning. Andre Waters fakes the tackle.
And Forcade looks rattled.
He shakes out the cobwebs here. He'll get a free timeout at the 2-minute break. Perriman with a catch. They have all of their timeouts remaining and a 4-point lead at the 2-minute warning. And back we come to the Superdome with 2 minutes to play in the half. Saints have all of their timeouts. Forcade went over to the sidelines at the 2-minute warning and the administered smelling salts.
I'll tell you, he had 2 wild scrambles, and when he got back to the huddle, he couldn't take a breath. He had to call the play, had to come to the line of scrimmage, and he fired that completion to Perriman, and he was exhausted.
And you saw our halftime menu coming up. Host Tim Beckler will visit with him. New Orleans passes at the 31. They lead by 4. And here's Hilliard swinging to the outside, but not going anywhere. Andre Waters is the first to form the greeting party. Of course, the Saints are already well within field goal range when you've got Morton Anderson on your bench.
Saints have also, with the starting of John Forcade, been working a young receiver out of Miami, Brett Perriman, who had a big game against Buffalo last week, his career high for receptions and yardage, and he seems to team very well with John Forcade. He is the speed represented by the New Orleans receivers.
Second down and 12 after a 2-yard loss from the 33-yard line. Heavy pressure, and Forcade gets spun down and is very fortunate he held on to the football. Seth Joyner coming in on the blitz.
Yeah, you don't need smelling salts. The Eagles are more than willing to administer a little medicine of their own.
And they just took him out of Morton Anderson's field goal range as well.
They almost took John Forcade out of his underwear.
There's Anderson, who right now would be looking at a 57-yard attempt. At the 40-yard line, it's third down and 19.
His career best, Morton Anderson, 55 yards, so he would have to set a personal high, at least if they went from this point.
Third and 19, clock ticking down to 52 seconds.
Here comes the blitz again.
Rush again. They send 6. Forcade steps up, going deep into the end zone. Contact is made, and they say it's incidental. Mike Jones and Eric Everett got tangled up, no flag.
That's a good call. That ball was out of the end zone, uncatchable.
Oh, I'm not so sure about that, Frank. That ball, I think, would have been catchable if they stay on their feet, but I agree. I do agree with the call. It really did look like their feet just got tangled. The ball's going to land in the end zone. Mike Jones, here comes Everett, both playing the football. That's a good non-call by the officiating crew.
So New Orleans has to punt instead of opting for what would be a 57-yard attempt. 40 seconds on the clock. Barnhart lofts it, and a fair catch is called for. And again, I mean, why are you going to make a fair catch at the 4-yard line? Anthony Edwards, it's the second time tonight inside the 10, he's called for a fair catch.
Yeah, that's. I can only assume that he's disoriented on the field. Again, take a look at it. Both of them back. Actually, it's Jones that comes in and initiates the contact. But you can see the ball landing in the back of the end zone. But still, both guys trying to make a play on the football. If there would have been any flag thrown there at all, it would have been offensive interference against Jones. But I think it's a good non-call.
And no complaints about it either. I don't think it was catchable, frankly. And that factored into it also.
So it's 14-10, and that's the way it figures to wind up, unless the Saints want to take their timeouts defensively. And New Orleans has an interesting option here. They can stop them on first down. They have all 3 timeouts left. And meanwhile, Cunningham is in the end zone and in the grass. A safety. Frank Warren gets credit for the safety. And so Philadelphia calls for a fair catch inside the 5, and then Cunningham gets tackled in the end zone for a safety.
Well, Randall Cunningham, he just gets passed by his offensive line. They are just blown off the ball. Frank Warren just takes number 65, Ron Solt, and just throws him all the way back beyond Randall Cunningham. Randall didn't have a chance.
And he did the wise thing. He pulled this thing down. He took the 2 points. He could have thrown that up and perhaps cost 6.
Give Frank Warren credit. But the Eagles sure made it easy for New Orleans there.
And the Saints have 3 timeouts remaining, and Philadelphia will have to put the ball in play from their own 20-yard line. So it could be that New Orleans, with the 3 timeouts, could get some more.
Hmm. 16-10. And again, it's set up by Edwards calling for the fair catch. The deal is, I mean, why would you call for a fair catch, as we pointed out, inside the 10? You might as well let it bounce, hope it goes into the end zone.
It's also a risky call, going with a straight drop-back pass. You would expect maybe some movement out of the pocket, something where Randall Cunningham would have more vision, something that he would maybe stretch the defense.
Here's the free kick, and they're going to use Cunningham, and this time not nearly the type that netted him 91 against New York. A free kick. It is caught by Rod Harris, and he takes it to the Philadelphia 48, and they have all of their timeouts. Not that they'll have time to use them because there's only 21 ticks to the clock left.
Well, though, you're looking at, what are you looking at? Only you need about a 20-yard play, and you're inside a 50-yard field goal. So New Orleans here in an excellent position to add some more points.
They're looking to get between the 30 and the 35-yard line with the big foot of Morton Anderson on the sideline.
At the 48-yard line, 21 seconds remaining in the half. 16-10 Saints.
Again, I think what we're seeing, though, it's a lot easier to play this game sometimes when you don't have to win. The Eagles, I think, the team feeling the pressure, trying to catch the Giants.
Fourcade from the gun. 4 receivers in the pattern, a 4-man Philadelphia rush. The catch is made by Martin, and Martin takes it to the 36. They'll have to call a timeout, and they better do it in a hurry, and they do, at the 14-second mark. So you're at the 36-yard line, which is roughly a 53-yard field goal from this point.
So really what you're looking for here is something in the vicinity. I mean, 10 yards would be wonderful. Even 4 or 5 isn't bad. You know, a running play is an option here. You've got the luxury of still having 2 timeouts.
An important one. We saw a moment ago that Fourcade got sacked and took them out of field goal range, so that is going to be one of his high priorities, not to get the sack, because they are within Morton Anderson's range. His long of the year is 49 yards, his career best 55, and that was a few years ago in Denver, 1985, I believe.
Well, that stat doesn't give you a lot of confidence. 0 for 3 from 50-plus for Morton Anderson this year, but
and 1 for 4 last year, so 1 for his last 7 from that range.
Eagles, of course, well aware Very wise, very smart defensive team, and they, of course, will try to be getting the sack, causing the loss, and taking them out of Anderson field goal range.
Jones and Hill left, Martin and Perriman to the right from the 36-yard line.
Here comes the blitz.
For Perriman, and he's lucky it wasn't picked off. Perriman was slanting over the middle, and the pass was to the outside, and Terry Hogue was the man who got a hand on it.
Well, that took 5 seconds off the clock from 14 to 9. Now, if you're New Orleans, do you run one more play?
Yep.
You've got time to do it.
You do.
You've got time to do it, but you can't make this a toss into the end zone.
And Forcade is saying, well, we're going to take a timeout here. We've got a timeout to spend because they still have one remaining, and so he figures he'll use this extra time to come over and discuss it with Mora. Why not?
That's a smart call.
Again, the importance of this game. Philadelphia would be, again, tied with the Giants in the East, but in effect ahead of them with a victory. And they'd be in the driver's seat to win the division because they play Phoenix next week. If they lose, they're looking at a probable wild card. Morton Anderson warming up as well. For New Orleans, again, they are out of playoff contention.
And you think there's not a little interest in New York in this game, Al? The Giants, of course, looking on. They close with the Raiders on Sunday. And they know that the only way they can win the division is that they beat the Raiders, and Philadelphia either loses tonight or loses, as you said, unlikely, next week to Phoenix.
We'll talk to Bo Schembechler at halftime, who, of course, has announced his retirement, has a book out as well, and will be coaching Michigan in his final game at the Rose Bowl. And there is Glenn Bo Schembechler.
I love him and admire him. Boy, does he pick a time to retire.
You love him, Frank?
I do.
So to speak. My old coach.
For many reasons.
A very gracious statement for a Southern Calgary.
Second down, and Forcade is in trouble, and Forcade has to eat it back at the 38, and that really creates a problem now for Anderson as William Frizzell gets put in for the sack, and they take the timeout with 38 seconds, and now you're looking at a 55-yard attempt or a career-long effort for Anderson.
But you have no choice but to go ahead and try it.
Yep.
It's kind of a kick with a kicker that struggled with the long-range field goal is the kind you can block rather easily, too. Now, Morton Anderson's going to have to, at least the middle, he's going to think he's going to have to kick it low, and Forcade's struggling to call timeout.
Well, I don't know if he's calling timeout or is that Troy Aikman attempting to call an audible. That's a whole new look down on the ground.
But again, if I was New Orleans stretching, as Anderson will have to stretch, they are not going to get the loft they ordinarily would get.
If I was New Orleans there, though, I would not have been afraid to run the football.
That draw play would have been a good call.
Yeah. Twice the Eagles came with a blitz, and twice it really foiled any attempt by New Orleans to make a play. I wouldn't have been afraid to run it.
5 seconds remaining on the clock. 6-point Saint lead. Eagles coming in tonight as a 1.5-point favorite. 55-yard attempt. Forcade to put it down. Short. And that's the half. But at the end of the half, the Saints are able to tack on 2 more on the safety to stretch the lead to 6 after 30 minutes of play at the Superdome. Halftime, 16-10, New Orleans. And ABC's Monday Night Football returns after a commercial, a message from the National Football League, and a word from our ABC stations. At the goal line, Paul Frazier. And the rookie gets smothered out at the 16-yard line. Sammy Lilly leading the charge, and there are your numbers with a big story in the turnover department in the first 30 minutes.
That's by a Philadelphia team that leads the National Football League in turnovers.
Eagles giving it up 3 times. 2 fumbles and an interception. The Saints giving it up once, but then the Eagles very shortly returned the favor as Cunningham threw an interception into the arms of Atkins. And the first play of the Third quarter from scrimmage starts at the 15-yard line with Perryman in motion and Forcade throwing, and Brenner cannot make a one-handed grab. It'll be 2nd and 10.
You know, we talked about those turnovers. Philadelphia came in after 14 games with a plus 25 in turnovers. Now, that's remarkable when you consider the next team that was closest to them was plus 11. So they have been winning a lot of football games by getting the football.
And again, as we pointed out at the top of the show tonight, if you weren't with us, when you take into account 52 turnovers, that's almost 1 per quarter. 4 a game, close to 4 a game. And obviously you're going to win a lot of games when that happens. The Eagles have won 4 straight, 8 of 10. Hilliard on 2nd down picks up about 4. The Eagles have done a very good job tonight containing Dalton Hilliard. He has not really been a factor as he has been in so many of their games this season. The Eagles have forced at least 1 turnover, as you see, in 65 consecutive games, and that hasn't happened since 1964, a streak that long. Third down and 6 from the 19-yard line. Low snap. Forcade has to go down to get it, and then his throw is batted away by William Frizzell. And the Eagles will get the ball back.
And that's a ball that just took a long time to get all the way out to the sideline. The bad snap throws Forcade. Joel Hilgenberg, the center, and then John really doesn't look anywhere other than exactly where he's going to throw the ball, and that gives Frizzell a chance to get over there, jump in front of Rod Harris, and swat the ball away. But you can't hardly blame Forcade. Everything kind of becomes nothing but instinct after he has to field the low snap.
Anthony Edwards to receive, Tommy Barnhart to kick. Low kick. And it takes an eagle bounce, and as much as it does not travel much past the 41-yard line where it initially bounced to begin with, and thus Philadelphia will take the ball at that spot near midfield. Injury update, Jumpy Gethers was hurt early on, sprained right knee. He will not return. Wayne Martin has been in his spot at one of the defensive end spots for New Orleans. We've seen Waymer in and out of the game, the free safety, but he's in there right now. From the 41-yard line, 1st and 10 Philadelphia. Early in the third quarter, Keith Byers makes the catch. We've got a flag down, and we're going to get a holding call, I think, on the Eagles' number 65, Ron Solt.
Well, if it is against Solt, that's his. He's starting the second half about the way he ended the first one.
Number 65. That's a 10-yard penalty and it's 1st down.
Ron Solt is the guy that gave up the safety to Frank Warren at the end of the first half, and there's Frank Warren taking a move to the outside, and really it looked like Solt was just riding him to the outside. That really didn't look like holding, at least from that perspective, but the umpire is right there on top of it. Needless to say, this guy doesn't think it was holding.
10-yard penalty back to the 31, 1st and 20 for the Eagles at that spot. New Orleans on top by 6. Big rush. Cunningham chased out, but has room to roam and skips out of bounds at the 38-yard line after a gain of 7. Ricky Jackson will get credit for the tackle. Vaughn Johnson was the man who flushed him out of the pocket.
And Vaughn Johnson thought he had him trapped, and again, Cunningham with the quickness. He's so big, 6'4". You just don't get a perception of how quickly he is moving and how fast he is. And Johnson, I know, thought he had him trapped, and Cunningham just eased away from him.
Well, it's Anthony Toney. Watch Anthony Toney come in. Well, that's the very conclusion of the play. It was Anthony Toney that allowed Cunningham to get to the outside. Toney peeled back and picked off Vaughn Johnson. So a running back helps his quarterback.
2nd and 13 from the 38. Johnson in motion. Cunningham for Carter, and is he inbounds? According to the official, he is at the 46-yard line. Boy, if he was, that's sensational. It's sensational, and it will be reviewed. I would suspect as well.
Whether he is inbounds or not, Chris Carter is one of the more acrobatic receivers in the National Football League. He's made spectacular catches with the fade pattern we described earlier, and both feet have got to come down inbounds. That's tough.
I'm sorry, but that's close enough. When a guy makes an effort like that,
Give it to him.
that's a reception.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful,
And
beautiful.
the Eagles were going to try to snap it before they reviewed it, but you knew this was coming.
And Frank, I think you used the word that really describes this guy, acrobatic. He has become a real artiste when it comes to using body language and being able to maintain his balance on a sideline or in a corner of the end zone.
He has got to know exactly where this is. He has to concentrate on the football. I don't think you can turn that around. That's highlight stuff there.
No, I don't know that any replay official could take a look at that and say he sees enough to say, no way.
Cal Lepore,
This is an old
former referee, is the replay official.
This is an old defensive back up there.
Play stands. It's third down.
Yeah. Well, you would expect the boos in New Orleans, but that's a sweet play by Chris Carter and Randall Cunningham.
Third down and 5 now for Philadelphia, just outside their own 45-yard line.
Somebody needs to tell Jim Moore there's a game going on here. He is cool, calm, and collected.
Four-man rush, pressure from the backside, and the dump-off is incomplete, intended for Tony. And that time, Pat Swilling came charging in along with Ricky Jackson.
And both of them decide to put a little mustard on things, and I don't blame the Eagles for coming to Randall Cunningham's defense. You got two guys in black jerseys on top of your QB. You can't let that happen. You can't let that happen. Now give Swilling credit. Swilling's the guy that really makes it happen from the backside. Boy, these two guys can play a little ball here now.
Swilling so quick, leading sacker on this New Orleans Saints team. I think they were just calling off Cunningham, and they were celebrating, and I think some of the Eagle offensive linemen wondered what was going on back there.
Actually, Ricky Jackson was down Pat Swilling. But still, the Eagles offensive line, you turn around and see a couple guys on your QB.
Rick Tootin with a wobbly kick. Morris has it at the 15-yard line. Can't get a block, and Frizzell stays with it and ends the play at the 15-yard line. As New Orleans takes over deep in its own territory, 12:49 to go in the third.
Different demographic bunch of fans out there.
Well, I think so. It made a lot of my albums wake up, I can tell you that. There's some more gold and platinum on the wall thanks to Monday Night Football, no doubt about it.
You've been our fourth man in the booth, and all your rowdy friends have been with us.
Well, it was a great thrill. You know, it was a dream come true to introduce some Monday Night Football. That's America. Monday Night.
Yes, sir. Dalton Hilliard on first down picks up about 3.
Multiple Entertainer of the Year, country western, Hank Williams.
5 times Entertainer of the Year.
Like that multiple.
Please, 5.
I know you work Bakersfield a lot, too.
And I've got surprises for 90, too.
What do you got planned for us?
Well, we got some albums and some singles and a new road show, the Lone Wolf Tour and the Lone Wolf album. And it's kind of like a football. You make goals and plans, and you hope to reach those goals.
Say, this guy's got a van that makes John Madden look like a Jeep.
Yeah. He's also got a ranch that makes some states look small.
Why couldn't we have been singers? Well, we certainly have enjoyed you being our fourth man, and we wish you well, Hank.
Thank you very much, Frank.
2nd and 7, and the pass is almost intercepted by Andre Waters, who drops it. He's trying to convince the officials that he fumbled it, and they don't buy that. He's trying a pass intended for Perriman.
Trying to invoke the one bounce rule.
Right.
Maybe if they didn't see it, I get to keep it.
Hank, I think a lot of people wondered if you were a Monday night fan, or if you were a football fan. I think we got that cleared up last spring.
Oh, yeah.
Finished the recording.
I've been a football fan all my life. I used to hang around the Oakland Raiders when Kenny Stabler and John Madden were there. And, of course, Terry Bradshaw and the Pittsburgh Steelers, my goodness. And then Dallas and Roger Staubach. It's been a part of my life, and now a very big part of it.
3rd down and 8 for the Saints from the 18-yard line. Corcade under pressure. Down he goes at the 12-yard line as Clyde Simmons gets credit for the sack.
Hank again, our thanks for dropping by again. Thanks for kicking off every Monday night game in your own inimitable way.
Well, thanks to all you guys. And the album will be out in about 2 weeks, and I'll have one for all of you. Lone Wolf.
Lone Wolf.
Yeah. And I'll have you fixed up.
Thanks, Hank.
Thank you.
Thanks for a great year.
Good seeing you. Thank you.
Hank Williams Jr. One more time. Monday night.
Monday night.
Saints to kick. Standing in his end zone is Tommy Barnhart. And this is a beauty. Edwards back at the 35. There's also a flag down at the line of scrimmage. Back he comes to the 46, and a penalty marker is down. Ben Wright's been a busy man tonight, and he'll tell us it's another face mask call going against the Saints. After what would have been a 53-yard boot. Decline it, says Ryan, emphatically. Walter Johnson may be the man number 90. Tell us, Ben. Ben, open that mic.
Ben, the switch.
Ben.
When you talk as loud as Ben, you don't realize the speakers aren't on.
We get the idea. Take a look, right side of the screen as we show you the replay. Number 90.
Can we see a face mask?
Well, yeah, there it is. Number 90. Upper right. First down, Philadelphia, and we come back at the Eagle 46. Tight race. Dorsett leading Dave Craig by 2 percentage points. Dennis McKinnon right there. Bob Lee fourth.
Pretty good win on distance.
Philadelphia from the 46-yard line. They trail by 6, and Cunningham gets sacked. Tag team effort. Pat Swilling and Frank Warren put him in a vice.
Well, Frank Warren having his best night of the season, as he is just all over the field tonight, and Pat Swilling having just another night. The kind of the year number 56 has been having. These two tonight really getting it done. There's Frank. Everyone pulls away from him. Not the best of blocking schemes by the Eagle offensive line. Guys going right, guys going left. Nobody going in front of the quarterback.
Second and 23. Cunningham airs it out for Johnson, too far. Good coverage. Milton Mack was there. There was some contact. Mack wants offensive interference. No flag. Third and 24.
Mack came in the second quarter when Toy Cook had a problem physically. Let's take a look at it again. Ron Johnson, simple, just fly pattern, and Mack is reading and whipping. And he gets a chance to look through the receiver back to the quarterback, so he knows what he's got to do, and he's right there. Frank, really unusual technique by Mack. No backpedal at all, just turns right at the line. You see him getting out there. That's Johnson getting his left arm up underneath. Well, he had help from the inside in Waymer.
Third and 24. Only a 3-man rush by the Saints. And out in front, the catch is made inside the 10-yard line by Anthony Edwards, who takes it to the 1.
Oh, boy.
He beat the defense. The pass was slightly underthrown, even though Cunningham threw it close to 60 yards in the air. He had to come back to get it, and it's first and goal after a third and 24.
You had the magic numbers, Al. It was over 60 yards in the air, I believe. I don't think that the defenders for New Orleans thought Cunningham, no way he could throw the ball that far, at least flat-footed, and he just unloaded. Milton Mack was back there. Dave Waymer, they were covered a moment ago. They were playing up tight. And Cunningham, with the strong arm we've talked about, threw that ball at least 60 yards in the air. Well, it went from the 23 to the 12. Well, do your math. Where's Steve Hurt when we need him?
That's his first reception ever in the National Football League. Byers stops at the 1-yard line. It'll be second and goal. And we mentioned one of the problems the Eagles have had this year is the big play through the air, but they've had 2 huge ones tonight.
65 yards in the air. That's how far Randall Cunningham threw that ball. Dan and I were quite puzzled over here. Yeah, I almost took off my shoes to figure that one out.
Wait till we get into the playoff scenarios.
35-35. Set a record. 72 points already. Will we ever forget it?
Second and goal at the 1. Fake to Tony. Lofted into the back of the end zone. The field judge says what?
Nothing.
They haven't made a call yet. David Little makes the catch. The back judge and the field judge look at each other. Nobody's made a call yet. It looks like he had his feet down.
Well, Kenny Wolf, our producer, is telling us from what he can see in the truck, looks like it's good.
Call it one way and look at it.
You notice how I put it right on you, Kenny.
Well, there's a classic example of what replay means. You know that upstairs it's eventually going to be reviewed, and it's a non-call.
All right,
here's
the field. Here's look number 1. David Little has the ball. There's the left. No, does he have the ball?
Yeah.
There's the right. The right appears to be in. The fact of the matter is, though, when he had the left, when the left was down, the ball was partially through his hand. They ruled touchdown.
Finally.
And Philadelphia. All right, there's the left foot down. You know, he's got the ball. The question is the right toe. The question is whether or not the right toe. You can't fault the officials. They're in the perfect position. Now, this is going to be almost a mandatory review.
And that's what they're doing right now.
And really, guys, here what's really critical is that the officiating crew rules a touchdown, because now they have really put the burden on the replay booth. Can they see enough to overturn it? This is one of those deals that I think, no matter what is called on the field, is going to stand.
It is. There's not enough evidence to overturn it. He is clearly not out, and since they've ruled him in on the field, you need clear evidence that he is out, and you don't see it.
No, you don't.
We haven't yet.
Kind of lost in all of that was a great effort by Cunningham to find.
That's a touchdown.
Little. He's in, and he's got control of it.
That's green between the foot.
Yeah, that's a touchdown.
And the out of bounds.
That was good work by the officiating crew getting together.
Well, you know, it's funny. It starts out as if they don't know what's going on, but it's going to end up being the exact right thing. And after all, that's what officiating should be about. Get it right. And the question here, too, is does he have possession when the first foot comes down as well?
Good enough for me.
From everything that we have looked at, you couldn't say that he didn't have possession, most certainly.
If it is a touchdown, it's the first of his 6-year career, following the first catch of Edwards' career period. Possession is the question here on the left foot. Does he have possession as the left foot comes down? A little juggle act there. Ball rolls around. He's got it.
I just don't see any way they can reverse it. But we'll see.
But that's something you never would have seen before 1986, where the officials on the field don't make a call, and there it is, touchdown.
And again, what is so critical by the officiating crew is the call that they make. Because they really, I don't think there's any doubt that whatever call they made there would have stood.
So here is a key extra point. Game tied at 16 for the moment. Kavanaugh to hold for Ruzek. And Philadelphia has the lead for the first time in the game, and we've got a penalty marker down. 2 of them, 3 of them, in fact. 3 markers are down.
You know how some referees have this calm, gentle, soothing voice? Players get aggravated at Ben Drice. They think he's mad at them.
We've got offsetting penalties here. The thing I love about Drive is he speaks in complete sentences. That's a holding call.
That's an illegal
against
use
the
of the
defense
hand.
and that sort of thing.
He's having a little bit of a problem with his switch tonight. Traffic cop in New York traffic.
We'll do it again. David Alexander to snap. Cavanaugh to put it down. And this time the kick is good again without a flag. And that officially gives Philadelphia the lead for the first time tonight. 9:09 to go in the third. Eagles by 1. This is around the league. Interesting situation in San Diego. Steve Ortmeyer, the director of football operations, was fired, and Dick Steinberg, the longtime personnel director with the Patriots, who was rumored to be on his way to take the Jets job, winds up in San Diego, where all of the rumors had Bobby Beathard going. So Ortmeyer out, Steinberg out of New England to San Diego, a 5-year deal. And Bobby Beathard still at NBC, as far as we know.
What, 5 years, $3.2 million? What a commitment that is.
Philadelphia to kick off. They have the lead, 17-16. Ruzek puts it down to the 5. Bobby Mortz comes back out to the 28-yard line. And the Saints taking over at that spot. You know, the information we got up here initially was that he'd gone to San Diego. We've got to apologize for that. Steinberg winds up going to the Jets, was the report. So we have our information together now. It looked sort of bizarre when we looked at it the first time. And Steinberg does indeed go to the Jets as Forcade scrambles his way out to the 44-yard line.
And there's Andre Waters and I believe Eric Martin. And Andre Waters, one of the big hit guys in the league that time, actually, I think was the innocent bystander. I think it's Eric Martin who comes in and jumps in on top of Andre Waters and gets that one underway. What do you know? A wide receiver getting in here and mixing it up a little bit. What's this game coming to?
Meanwhile, as they unravel this, let's unravel the misinformation we gave you initially. The report we got. Steve Ortmeyer gets fired at San Diego, but Steinberg goes to the Jets. And Ortmeyer, to our knowledge, has not been replaced at San Diego.
Well, the Jets have been talking with Steinberg now for several days. They make the commitment for 5 years, $3.2 million as general manager.
And you really have to wonder what happens to Joe Walton now in New York.
At the 43-yard line, Forcade throws, and is that interference? Yes, it is. Flag from 2 angles.
Get everybody's flag.
That's Eric Everett, number 42, as he comes right over the back. And there's no question about that. It's close. I mean, it is close to being a really good play by Eric Everett.
And again, as you said, it's not horseshoes. He hit him before the ball got there. Everett overplaying it. And just drives right into the back.
It really looks like a pretty good play from behind. From behind, you can't judge Everett's arrival in relationship to the football. But when you saw it from the side, there was no doubt about it.
Saints have it at the Eagle 41-yard line, 1st and 10. 8:19 to go in the third. Forcade. Little wobbly duck. And nobody there. 2nd and 10.
Yeah, Forcade is about really 5'11", maybe 6 feet. He just disappears when the 6'6" Clyde Simmons is there, 6'5" Reggie White, and Mike Pitts is 6'5". You kind of lose track of John Forcade in there, but he has kept his cool tonight. Scrambled at the right times, got rid of the football as he did then, without getting it picked off. He's made things happen.
2nd and 10. Saints at the 41-yard line. Forcade has drawn a blank in this half. He's 0 for 4. For the game, he's 10 for 23. Big draw, and then that's incomplete. Martin was in the area with Perriman, and Eric Everett with the coverage.
Oh, we're going to get a flag here very quickly.
Yeah, we got a little scuffle going on.
Perriman came back and jawed at Hopkins, and Hopkins gave him a shove, and an official stepped in between. Perriman actually thought he was interfered with.
You see Drice extract that ball, put it down. Say, come on, let's get going. Third and 10.
Well, the Eagles have not let us down defensively. They have been storming with the blitz on Forcade all night long on the sure pass situation. And they're showing the set for it again.
Shotgun, 4 wide out. A flag is down. It's a sack. It's a fumble. It's a lateral.
And Simmons is going to score again.
And it's all going to depend on the flag. Simmons will have scored his second touchdown of the season if it holds up. Waters to Golick to Simmons is your combination after the sack and the fumble, and let's see about the penalty.
And John Forcade, meanwhile, is really hurt, Al. Back at the 50-yard line, he's just not going anywhere. He took a violent hit from both sides. The Eagles coming with the all-out blitz. And it's a sandwich job for this guy, John Forcade. First of all, let's start at the beginning of the play. While the officials try to sort this out, Andre Waters comes from one side.
But here comes Drice. The key call is holding, offensive holding.
And that's a clothesline by Andre Waters that really sends Forcade reeling and causes the fumble. Terry Hogue's coming from the other side.
But a perfectly legitimate tackle by Andre Waters. No question about it. And he just slammed Forcade to the turf.
Here's Drice initially signals against New Orleans. Then he signals it's against Philadelphia. Here it is against the Eagles. Is that what he's saying?
Well, they just moved the ball 5 yards against Philadelphia.
I think he's serious.
I think
he also gave the illegal use of the hands against the defense when it would have to be defensive holding.
And of all the times for us not to have an operating microphone on the referee, boy, we could use it now.
Meanwhile, no touchdown, no turnover, and the Saints have the ball and Bobby Hebert's in the game. So Forcade comes off under his own power, standing on the sideline for the moment. Hebert, a little toss to Hilliard, and he powers through for a pickup of 5 to the 33-yard line. So Bobby Hebert, who had been number 1, losing his job to Forcade last week.
Forcade on the sidelines. Actually, when Forcade tried to get up, he stumbled and fell down as though he was kind of stunned or maybe even had lost his senses for a moment, but he does appear to be all right. Oh, I don't know. What's he asking? Where am I?
Second down and 8 at the 34-yard line. Goal set back is Hilliard. They give it to Dalton, and he runs right into number 56. That's Byron Evans, who takes him down behind the line at the 37. Now, what they're saying, Bryce Mike is not working, that it was illegal use of the hands against Jerome Brown, number 99 of the Eagles, on what would have been the sack and the fumble and the subsequent touchdown by Philadelphia.
There is Jerome Brown. He's working inside, and that time he's working against Jeff Walker, number 78. That was on the fumble. I certainly didn't see anything there that, other than he got held, constituted illegal use of hands unless he grazed the face mask.
Third and 11, and Forcade, who comes back in the game, gets dropped. Is it a fumble this time? Or was he down on contact? Or was he in the grass for just what? No signal yet from Drice.
Well, that's Jerome Brown, number 99, and they're making it happen again.
It's a fumble, and it's New Orleans ball.
Well, we've got two Eagles really coming at it. Reggie White incensed about what's happening on the field. He's coming from the outside. Jerome Brown is coming from the inside. And they cause another fumble. And Reggie is just really ripping into one of the officials. There's the ball loose and rolling around, and yeah, you could see the scramble for it. New Orleans recovers, and this game is starting to unravel in a big way.
A bizarre series with 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. And Philadelphia ahead by 1. Barnhart. This time Edwards is going to let it bounce. And can the Saints down it? No. It's into the end zone. Brett Maxey couldn't save it. And the Eagles, after all of this craziness, will take over at the 20-yard line. First and 10 Eagles at the 20. 5:50 to go in the third. Philadelphia up by 1. At the Superdome in New Orleans, strange game. Eagles lead by 1, 17-16. Jerome Brown, boy, he's been all over the field and then some tonight in a different posture for the moment. And on that last series, it was the call on Brown that negated what would have been an Eagle touchdown. He's had 2 sacks tonight. And he's been in the middle of the action all night long. Philadelphia at the 20-yard line with Jackson in motion. Little toss to Byers. He can't find room to the outside and gets buried at the line of scrimmage. Ricky Jackson leading the charge. So it'll be second down and 9 from the 21-yard line.
The Philadelphia Eagles have the reputation, and justifiably so, as one of the roughest, toughest teams in the league. And I think what we're seeing tonight is clearly a response by the New Orleans Saints that we like to think that we can play toe-to-toe with anyone.
Inside handoff out of the gun for Anthony Toney. He takes it out to the 24-yard line. And it will be third down and 6 with Swilling in on the tackle.
I mean, I think that anyone who understands the term professional, when you look at the effort that's been given tonight by the New Orleans Saints, a team with really nothing to play for out of the playoffs, they have really, I think, given the country a reason to be proud about the New Orleans Saints. They have played like guys who are getting paid to play.
As they did last week against Buffalo.
Yeah. I admire that this late in the year.
On third and 6.
Frank Warren again.
Cunningham, chase, and the pass is caught by Johnson, who somehow gets free at the 41-yard line. Milton Mack finally makes the tackle, and the Eagles tonight have been so proficient on third down and long.
But again, how about Cunningham running to his left, right-handed passer, had to put it in between 2 defenders, and what a remarkable athlete. You keep saying it, and he keeps doing things that constantly amaze you. Gets away from Frank Warren, who is a good, quick lineman. Also, Von Johnson in pursuit, and then throws it in between 2 defenders perfectly. And going the opposite way.
From the 43-yard line, a draw. Byers, Ricky Jackson gets taken a couple of yards after he'd stopped him initially at the 40. He's able to power forward as Byers down to the 37-yard line. It'll be second down and about 4.
I think that run by Keith Byers just kind of typifies everything that's happened to him here in 1989. He's getting more opportunities to run the football than he ever has before. Heavily criticized early in his career about not being a tough runner, maybe on his tiptoes a little too much. That was just a great effort. That was making 4 or 5 more yards after you're stood up. That's the new look, Keith Byers.
Second and 5. Cunningham says to Johnson over on the other side here. Puts him in the slot. And then looks that way. Pump fakes and they'll run it. And slides to the 32. A flag goes down after the play.
That could have been a face mask. You saw Cunningham's head snap back. Certainly an attempt if it wasn't. Jim Wilkes reaching around to try and catch Cunningham. So many times you're frustrated by Cunningham. And that's what it'll be.
Well, that's just an effort, though, to grab whatever you can grab. Yeah. Certainly nothing intentional.
I didn't mean to.
Well, I think Wilkes is saying I had the back of his jersey. Don't be touching an official there, Jim. No, that's not good. Charles Haley can tell you about that.
Great sense of when he's in trouble. Cunningham pulls it down.
There's Wilkes.
There's Wilkes. Oh, he might have the back of the jersey, too.
You can hear the Superdome crowd's reaction to that.
I think that's just a good play. And the resultant action there is the back of the jersey.
Well, there's our reverse angle. You can't see it any better than that, folks. That's not a play that can be overturned by replay, and Rockin' Randall is saying, I can't run a play.
And the crowd is saying, we've about had it with the officiating, is what they're saying.
Well, it has not been a great night for Ben Bryce and his crew.
And, of course, this is where the whole situation with the crowd noise started in a preseason game with the Bengals. You recall the Boomer Esiason situation.
I mean, that's just a good look at Jim Wilkes getting Randall Cunningham by the back of the jersey, not the face mask.
Meanwhile, the Saints, knowing that they can have timeouts taken away.
Well, but you know what? They don't care about that.
Well, at this point, yeah, the fans, they're about had it.
Their team's out of the playoffs, and if this is nothing more than, I think, venting the frustration of an entire season's worth of frustration. I don't think they're all that concerned about slowing this game down. This game couldn't be much slower than it is right now. Oh, and they're louder than they were before.
From the 27-yard line on 1st and 10. It's a draw play, and Byers picks up about 2.
And I applaud Randall Cunningham.
You betcha.
I applaud Randall Cunningham for getting under there, throwing his team in a tight formation and running a play. You talk about a guy that's come a long way. That's the way you do it. There are a lot of quarterbacks in this league who've been around many more years than Randall Cunningham that might have been tempted to stand back there and just let that unfold. Good play. Get on with it.
Philadelphia 66 yards thus far. Again, New Orleans 11 consecutive games holding the opposition under 100. 2nd and 7. Big rush. Cunningham off his back foot, off balance, incomplete. A flag goes down. Bryce throwing the flag as Cunningham gets buried under a quartet.
Throwing the ball away.
And grounding is the call.
Yeah, but he pointed against New Orleans.
Yeah, well, that was the original point on the what would have been a Philadelphia touchdown was against New Orleans. Grounding.
Oh, now it's this one. Okay.
If it was
loss of down.
If it was defensive grounding, we'd really have a scoop.
That is a loss of down.
Cosmetically, we are not witnessing one of the great games. Only a hard-hitting game, and no question Cunningham did not have a receiver within 15 yards of that.
The rules state if you are throwing the ball and your intent is to evade a sack, that's when they can call it.
3rd and 22.
Frank Warren again.
Cunningham. Fumble. Byers is there to pick it up, and Byers takes it to the 16, and that's the difference between what would have been a 4th down and a 1st down.
Cunningham is hit well before the 1st down marker. I think that's Randall's 3rd fumble of the night. At least 3. Maybe he's had 4. I know he's had 3 that I can remember.
What a sense about when to pull it down, and this time breaks it back to the inside, tries to cover up the ball. Waymer just rips it out. Ball's free. It bounces right into the hands of Byers. And Byers, as Al said, got the necessary yardage for the 1st.
That's the difference. Otherwise, they're looking at a field goal.
Typical Saints football, though. Look how many hats are going on the ball carrier.
16-yard line through the middle. Anthony Toney takes it to the 13. Clock is down to 1:45 to go in the 3rd. Eagles beginning this drive back at their own 20. And again, tonight, the key 3rd down plays early in this drive, the 3rd and 6. Then they had the 3rd and 22 with the Cunningham fumble and the Byers pickup and another 1st down. 2nd and 7, the ball at the 13-yard line. intended for Byers. Mills covering. Third down. 3rd and 7.
We talked about it so much tonight. So often we've seen Philadelphia in this exact situation. Go with those fade patterns to the outside receivers. Chris Carter has been the primary one. Of course, the Saints, looking at films and studying frequencies, they are very aware of it. It's always hard to protect against, and Carter now goes to the right.
3rd and 7. Big rush from the backside. Swilling gets picked up through the middle. He is in the grass at the 19-yard line. Pat Swilling.
How many ugly things can happen on one play? Randall in the grass, but then throws. And if you really wanted to hear the crowd go crazy, if Vaughn Johnson would have held on to that ball, it wouldn't have been an interception. Because it was ruled a sack before he got rid of the football. Again, Pat Swilling just proving too much for everybody. That's Matt Darwin, and he's getting help from the inside. And it's Swilling in again who gets the sack. That's a wonderful effort by Pat Swilling.
37-yard field goal attempt by Ruzek. And it's good, but of course there's a flag.
Wow.
Benny Thompson was the guy who came charging through.
And
here we go again.
And I think we may get a roughing the kicker this time. This may be good for a Philadelphia first down.
Running into, of course, will not give you the first down. Roughing will, and it's really shaken up.
4th and 14.
But a personal foul would be a 15-yard assessment if it's roughing, not running into. That's the personal foul variety. That's what we're going to get. First down. Big penalty.
It's a first down, and now, of course, Philadelphia, that's the second time in the game they've kicked a field goal and had the option of keeping it or taking it off the board.
Well, Benny Thompson was involved in the first roughing the kicker, actually running into the kicker to get the terminology straight, that we thought was a very questionable call. This one's going to get flagged every time. From our reverse angle, the hold by Kavanaugh, and there's Thompson clearly into the legs, but we can go on all night. Is that running into the kicker? Is that really a rough? I mean, again, I think this is a fairly impressive acting job by Ruzek. He's got a guy between his legs and then dumps on him.
He's given us a couple tonight.
And old Ben slaps him with 15.
So they take the 3 points off the board. The Eagles elect to take the penalty. It's first down, and you'd have to call it goal because the nose of the ball is right on the 10-yard line. There it is. They put the nose of the ball on the goal line, and that position is a touchdown. First and goal.
Well, Benny Thompson has to learn one thing, that you can't get in there. You can't get that close and not come up with some ball. You can't get in there and run the risk of being flagged.
Nor is that the angle you're going to block it. You've got to be out in front of it.
Yeah, good point.
Cunningham throwing, and Byers can't make the catch. Had to turn and twist and drops it. Second down.
Well, if that hadn't been a touchdown, they'd have been button heads at the goal line. And no one knows it better than Byers. Usually sure-handed. Only one running back in the league had caught more passes into tonight. Because Rathman of San Francisco.
The pass was just a little bit over his shoulder. I think Byers would have preferred to have a little more towards the sideline.
Second and goal. Carter split left, Johnson split right. Looking toward Johnson in the end zone, too high. Massey staying right with him. Third down and goal at the 10. A reminder now, next Monday, Christmas. So spend part of it with us as we close out the regular season. Monday Night Football on the 25th. The Vikings, if they win the NFC Central. They would win it, of course, if Green Bay were to lose to Dallas on Sunday. But assuming Green Bay wins, Minnesota has to win against Cincinnati. Still very much alive in the playoff hunt. And as we stated before we're done tonight, we'll review the playoff structure for you. Third down and goal with Ruzek warming up on the sideline. And the pass to Byers is caught, and then Byers is out of bounds at the 2-yard line. So it's fourth down and goal now at the 2, and Cunningham looks over toward the bench and says, what do you want to do? And Ryan says, let's go for 3 more.
You almost have to do this. You get it out of a field goal on the part of the New Orleans Saints to take the lead or to even tie.
So fourth down, it's fourth and goal. The ball is actually spotted inside the 2-yard line.
Didn't Kavanaugh throw a touchdown pass?
He did last
a week ago
to Chris Carter on a little fade against Dallas. 19-yard attempt, even shorter than an extra point. And that's good. So they can't capitalize on that penalty. They settle for the 3 anyway. We're down to 16 seconds remaining in the third quarter. And the Eagles lead it by a score of 20-16. And, of course, we'll make ourselves right at home here in New Orleans because we'll be back here 2 weeks from tonight. The USF&G Sugar Bowl. Dropping by the booth is the great athletic director of the University of Miami, Sam Jankovic, whose team will take on the University of Alabama. And I know, Sam, your Hurricanes will be ready, won't they?
Yes, we will be ready, and we're very excited.
Sam, how do you feel about, obviously you got a situation, Colorado number 1. If they win in the Orange Bowl against Notre Dame, they'll be number 1. But if Notre Dame wins, you've got people saying Notre Dame should be number 1. If you guys win against Alabama, you should be number 1. What do you think about a national championship down the line?
Well, first of all, we just have to take care of our homework and beat Alabama and let the chips fall where they may. But I've never been a proponent of a playoff. I think the last 7 years it's been very clear who the national champion has been. And I believe that coaches throughout the country as well as football players have far too much pressure on them, and football programs are supporting programs right now throughout the entire country and also with revenue sharing.
Sam, we thank you, sir. And we'll look forward to seeing you 2 weeks from tonight, right?
Certainly have had a fine program in Miami, by the way, and we're looking forward to being here. Sugar Bowl, Alabama and Miami. Thank you, sir.
New Year's night in New Orleans. Period coming to a close.
Well, what a few years they've had down in Miami.
Oh, yeah. Great quarterback tradition, the recent quarterback tradition with Kelly and Kozar, Testaverde.
I will say this, though, their longest gain of the year might have been the gain where they leapfrogged past Michigan to go from number 3 to number 2 without playing.
That's right. We forgot about the Wolverines for the moment, didn't we?
Get your Letterman sweater off.
Yeah. I knew we'd get your attention.
I think that's a subject of some controversy.
Oh, yeah. Ruzek kick taken at the 10. Here's Bobby Morse. And he brings it out to the 30-yard line. And the Saints at that spot with 6 seconds remaining in the third. Here's the updated vote now. Best play history Monday Night Football. And Dorsett and Craig are dead even at 35%. Dennis McKinnon at 23%. Bob Lee at 7%. Here, Philadelphia leading 20-16. They try to remain on top in the NFC East with the Giants, and of course Philadelphia would hold the advantage, having beaten the Giants twice this season. On 1st and 10, pass is caught underneath by Hobie Brenner, the tight end. It's a 5-yard pickup. The fourth quarter will begin with a 2nd and 5 at the Saints 35. And the score, Eagles 20, Saints 16. ABC's Monday Night Football returns from New Orleans after this from our ABC station. Getting some oxygen.
Well, that last sack of his where he got Randall Cunningham in the grasp where he was knocked down by 2 guys and then got back up and came in the backside. That's the kind of effort that a lot of guys talk about, few give.
Fourth quarter begins, 2nd and 5 at the Saint 35, and Forte hits Brenner, and Brenner drags Seth Joyner and Andre Waters with him out to the 50-yard line, and a first down. And we'll take a look at the numbers through 3 quarters of play tonight.
You can see the decided edge in yardage leading in favor of the Philadelphia Eagles, but again, they're also leading in turnovers 2-1. And it has been a tenacious effort by the Saints here this evening against a real talented football team in the Philadelphia Eagles. And in New Orleans.
On Monday night. This is 50-yard line. The pass is incomplete.
Oh, we saw Jerome Brown on the sidelines a little earlier for the Philadelphia Eagles. He was sucking wind, and a moment ago we saw Swilling over the sidelines. It's been that kind of a game. Neither team able to run the football. There's Brown. He's up and active again, getting a little rest, however. He just was exhausted. It's been the kind of game for a defensive lineman or a linebacker who is used in the pass rush so frequently as Swilling is that it is flat exhausting, no matter whether it's air-conditioned or not. No running. You just go for the passer on almost every down.
Brown's so frustrated, though, that it was a penalty against him that cost his teammate Clyde Simmons a touchdown.
2nd and 10 at the 50. Forcade and a near interception. We've had about 6 near interceptions tonight. That's Izell Jenkins with the drop, and it will be 3rd down and 10 at the 50-yard line.
Not often you'll see two teams make less of an attempt to run the football than these two here tonight.
Jeff Fisher looking over the defense, sending Hogue and Frizzell in. It'll be 3rd down and 10.
I think Philadelphia's problem has probably been the trouble with their offensive line. We talked about the problems the left side with Darwin and the broken thumb by Heller. They're hurting pretty good. They've been trying to run the football in recent weeks.
3rd and 10. Saints from the 50. 4-man rush. And the pass is caught by Martin on the far side on a 1st down at the 33-yard line. Eric Martin, who was so instrumental early on, 2 sensational catches on their first drive and a couple of drops and relatively quiet since. 17-yard pickup.
Frank, what do you think of Forcade? I mean, I'm just very, very impressed with the way that he's maintained his composure. He's taken big shots. He's been carried. He's been pressured. He's been run around, and the guy's still hanging in there playing good football. I mean, this guy's going to be around for a while.
He's done smart things, and he's given the Saints what they haven't had with Aber, and that is mobility back there.
1st and 10 from the 33. Here's the pass, a high pass caught by Martin, a great juggling catch at the 25-yard line. Go figure it out. He's made 3 great catches tonight. 2 drops on balls right in his hand.
This is Canton, Ohio stuff for Martin on this one night. 3 great catches with one hand. Moore wasn't putting us on about his ability to hold on to the football. This is just a great effort again. Forcade a little high with the ball, quite a bit high. Keep in mind that Martin is 6'1". He goes up about as high as he can get there and comes down with it. Look at that.
It is beautiful. Nice camera work, guys. Real good stuff. Not a bad catch, either.
2nd and 2 from the 25. Here's Dalton Hilliard. He has the 1st down. He takes it to the 20-yard line. Byron Evans in on the tackle. With 13 minutes to go. Clyde Simmons also involved. 1st and 10. Saints at the 20.
Saints would like to get Hilliard back into this game. He came into tonight with over 1,600 yards from scrimmage, receiving and rushing. And as Al pointed out earlier, other than just that reception for a touchdown, he has not been much of a factor for the Saints.
And 10, Saints at the 20-yard line. 12:35 left. Eagles ahead by 4. Jordan in motion. And Forcade throwing, and it's too low, intended for Dalton Hilliard. He was covered by Byron Evans. Hilliard tonight, he's rushed 12 times for 23 yards, under 2 yards per carry, and he's caught 2 balls. Second down and 10.
Ironhead Hayward checks into the lineup. The number 1 draft choice last year. Ironhead out of Pitt. Checking in at a smooth 265 pounds. He's in Jim Moore's weight doghouse. That's about 15 more than he should be.
Lined up on a wing to the left. Forcade off balance. Pass is caught in the end zone for the touchdown by Martin.
And John Forcade has no idea that's a touchdown. I'm not sure he knows yet.
And Eric Everett wanted to push off on Martin and doesn't see a flag.
Oh, what a super effort just to keep it alive. That was a square out and then a down. and Forcade had to buy time back there, and he was falling backwards as he released it.
Watch the shot that John Forcade takes at the end of this play. That's Jerome Brown, number 99. He just sends Forcade going backwards, and he has no idea whatsoever that that's been caught.
And on the other end, it was Martin against Jenkins.
There's a flag down.
Another Eric Everett was the defender for Philadelphia, and the
Flag down. Skirmish goes on. I think we've had a flag on just about every kick tonight, every placement.
We've had 11 penalties
that have been accepted.
That have been assessed and accepted.
Well, we've had some confrontations as well. We have had a lot of in-your-face action tonight.
Defense was offside. That's 1 point, 5 yards on the kickoff.
And it makes it 23-20.
And they're waking up in New York once again. If they ever went to sleep on this one. Giants, of course, certainly aware of the implications of this game. Let's take a look at it again. Pressure and holding as long as you can. So he is showing us something tonight. Hanging it up high. Everett the defender, and Martin, easy catch, easy touchdown. Let's give it all to Forcade. Great effort.
The Eagles now finding themselves trailing. And the question is, will they be trailing the Giants when this one is over? We're going to get to that playoff picture in just a moment here. 23-20, the Saints now leading by 3, 12-21. Remaining in the fourth quarter, Morton Anderson's kick will float down into the end zone, and it will be down there. And we can bring you up to date on the NFC playoff picture. Let's start with the NFC, where we can tell you one team, of course, is in. We know that, San Francisco. What about the others? 4 other teams will go. The Giants are in as well, as no worse than a wild card. 3 of those 4 make it. There are 128 possible scenarios remaining. The Rams, in 122 of those, would be in, meaning they've got a great chance. Philadelphia has a great chance to be in either as a division champ or a wild card. Minnesota controls its own fate. There they are in red. Green Bay, of course, needs help. They have to win and have Minnesota lose, basically, for them to get in. Tony gets back to the line of scrimmage. So there is a scenario where Green Bay and Minnesota could both lose, and Green Bay could be in as a wild card, if you can follow that. But the key for Green Bay would be a win and a Minnesota loss. But there it is again. Rams in great shape. Eagles in great shape to make it to the playoffs. Minnesota needs to beat Cincinnati or have Green Bay lose to Dallas, and in they go next week. So that's the NFC, which is pretty simple. We will get to the AFC.
Get out the calculator.
Yeah, so when we've got about a half an hour. 2nd down and 10. And Anthony Tony gets wrapped back by Wayne Martin.
Now, one follow-up, Al, to what you're talking about here in the NFC, and of course that concerns us next Monday night. How would you like to be the Minnesota Vikings if Green Bay goes ahead and beats Dallas, which throws the onus right onto the Vikings? Of all the teams, how would you like to have to beat Cincinnati to get into the playoffs? I mean, the way Cincinnati dismembered Houston yesterday, I don't know that may be more than the Vikings can handle. That's a load.
And in a scenario where it didn't mean anything to Cincinnati, perhaps even tougher.
3rd down and 10 from the 20-yard line, and Cunningham throws it up for grabs pretty much, and it's grabbed by Waymer. And he is down at the 42-yard line. Picked off by Dave Waymer.
And there's just no way that you can defend Randall Cunningham throwing a ball like that up in the air. That's strictly a very talented player trying to do too much, trying to make too much happen.
He shook his head as soon as he put that ball in the air. He knew he should not have done it.
Yeah, that's a very sophomoric toss by Randall Cunningham, who's better than that.
4th Eagle turnover. Ted Plum, the offensive coordinator, discussing that with him. Cunningham fumbling twice. 2 interceptions tonight. Waymer, as you saw, tying Tommy Myers' club record with his 36th career interception. And New Orleans has it at the 42 with 10:50 to play. Forcade, a little dump off screen to Dalton Hilliard. Brown can't take him down, but he slows him down enough for Evans to make the tackle. But I believe a first down, and it is at the 47-yard line. They give him the spot. First down.
Boy, what a good job by the offensive linemen of the Saints not crossing the line of scrimmage. That screen took a while to set up, and they were really on top of where the line was, stayed behind it.
I thought they would be for a moment, Dan, but you're right. They stayed on it.
You got
it took longer than it should have taken.
Yeah, you got Trapillo and Hilgenberg coming out there, and boy, they really feathered it coming down the line, and Hilliard, of course, doing nothing new for him.
47-yard line. Hilliard to the 40-yard line. Where Wes Hopkins bumps him out of bounds on a good hit after a 7-yard gain.
What a shot by Wes Hopkins. That's how a safety comes up and throws his body into it. Of course, Wes has been doing this for a while too. Boy, that's just perfect. That's altering the course of a running back against his will.
Your basic physics, weight, mass, velocity. Not only Hopkins, Andre Waters, the other safety back there, will really unload on you. Both of them often are called upon to play just like a linebacker in the Ryan defensive scheme of things.
2nd and 3. Here's Hilliard.
Whoa!
The first. Oh boy. What did he run into? Well, he ran into the Brown and Evans tandem for starters.
Clyde Simmons was in there as well too, I think. Wow.
That's Joyner.
But his forward progress is close to a first down. He'd gotten down to just about the 37 before he was thrust back. And thus we'll have a measurement with 9:42 on the clock.
And right now is the point of the game where the Philadelphia Eagles start looking up at that scoreboard. We've moved inside 10 minutes, 9:42 to be precise, and they're trailing by 3 points, and New Orleans has the ball. And they need a win to stay even, at least record-wise, with the Giants. We've documented the fact they beat the Giants twice. I mean, this is about the time you start to tighten up a little bit. Just crank it up a level or two and say, hey, wait a minute, we're on the verge of blowing this, and we can't afford to blow it. Let's send Buddy to the pack of gum.
3rd down, inches at the 37-yard line. Here's Hilliard, and it's going to be real close.
Oh, I don't think he got it.
Unless they give him a great spot.
I hope they find him.
And what do you do on 4th down?
Well, when you're out of it, when you have nothing to lose, I guess it would be easy for Jim Moore to say, let's just go for it. Now, Jim Moore, during the regular season, if the Saints were still in it, in this situation, as conservative of a coach as he is, I don't think there's any question he'd punt the ball away. But they're going to go for it,
and they better get on with it.
Meanwhile, after some confusion on the sideline, there's the play clock now. You see it down to 10 seconds as they line up on 4th and inches out of the I formation. And they get the play off. It's a little toss to Hilliard. First down. At the 36-yard line. And the clock keeps on rolling down to 8:40.
You know, it's difficult to crawl inside a guy's head and say that this is what he would have done and what he didn't do and what he wouldn't do, but you guys agree with me? That's not a typical Jim Moore call.
I totally agree, and I think it would have been the right thing to do. And again, 7-7, they're going nowhere. He's got a very emotional team playing out here at the moment. A team that's going nowhere. They're going to be home for New Year's for certain. No playoff possibilities, and they are all of a sudden stoked up. They know they're playing before the entire country, and they're playing just out of pride. They are professionals.
1st and 10, 35-yard line. Out pattern. Martin makes the catch. He has the first down. Breaks one tackle, but not a second. Taken down at the 17-yard line.
Well, that's just one of the obstacles the Eagles have to try to overcome, playing a team that is reckless and loose and relatively carefree, but again, you have to praise the Saints. This is a ball club that is just playing good football. Eric Martin, who appears to have gotten over his second quarter mistakes, stays in bounds, keeps the clock moving, and picks up another New Orleans first down.
Yeah, but Dan, that was also a defensive mistake. You saw Andre Waters trying to get back into the coverage. He got himself caught inside. Eric Everett was off about 15 yards. Easy completion.
Eric Martin for the year on that catch, now over 1,000 yards. At the 16-yard line, it's Hilliard to the 14, and they're chewing up the clock. 7:10 remaining.
First time tonight they've chewed on it.
Yeah, they've been content to nibble.
They've just been sniffing around it.
New Orleans on top again. The Giants would lead by a game, but then the Giants have a game against the Raiders in the Meadowlands on Sunday. The Raiders are still alive. They're still in playoff contention, even though their chances are somewhat slim.
They better bring the Woolies out.
Yep.
She is frosty back there.
The Eagles play Phoenix at the Liquorless Vet on Sunday. 2nd and 8 from the 14-yard line. And the catch is made by Martin at the 8-yard line. Short of the first down by 2, and a third down coming up.
Hey, this young man has... A lot of people didn't know anything about him until tonight. Telecast last week against Buffalo, just basically coming back here. But they have learned a lot about him tonight. He is a courageous, gutsy performer.
You know, you're talking about what has to happen this coming weekend. I think the Giants have a lot tougher task than the Eagles. If the Cardinals play anything like they played in that 37-0 whitewash to the Broncos, Philadelphia should have a relatively easy time with Phoenix.
3rd and 2. Brocade firing, and is there a flag? Yes, there is. All kinds of contact. And Martin turns around. I'm not sure now he knows there's a flag down.
Well, Eric Everett, number 42, looked like one of the guys right there. He's the guy, I think, that went up the back of Martin.
Everett having a tough night. Again, 4K, though, under tremendous pressure.
I wonder if they're going to talk about whether or not that ball was catchable.
Defense, pass interference number 42 in the end zone. The ball goes on the 1-yard line.
Well, that's... Ben Dreith has ruled that it was a catchable ball. They'll move this baby down to the 1-yard line.
Yeah, but of course, victimized by Eric Martin on the last touchdown by New Orleans. Number 42, Eric Everett.
It's a 1st and goal now at the 1-yard line. 6:23 to go.
It doesn't appear to be any question that there was contact between the two.
First timeout.
And Philadelphia takes a timeout. They spend one here on a 1st and goal.
John Forcade, as he has done all game long, stands in there to the last minute, sacrifices his body, and good things seem to happen.
Where's my jacuzzi? You don't need it.
Taking that timeout at a curious point here, having to use it on defense, not happy with their defensive alignment, thus they'll have 2 remaining. 2 remaining for Ryan's Eagles with 6:23 left in the 4th, and the Saints trying to put it in on 1st and goal. Hilliard looking for the corner. Can't get there. Touchdown saving tackle by Jesse Small, number 52.
That's the kind of a play that if your defensive team should go on and have a goal line stand, I mean, that's a little thing that a lot of times goes unnoticed. What a play by Jesse Small. I think 4 or 5 yards from the end zone, Dalton Hilliard would have told you, I'm in. Right there, he says, I'm in the end zone. What a play by Small, getting over there, getting Hilliard up around the head and steering his torso away from the goal line. Look at that. That's just a tremendous tackle by Jesse Small.
2nd and goal from the 3-inch line. Jordan, he on the 2nd effort is in for the touchdown.
Make it a 3rd effort.
Oh, yeah.
Falcons. Big hitter bounces off. And Seth Joyner, a bigger hitter, bounces off. And Jordan just would not be denied.
Wilson Jordan. His third touchdown of the season. Anderson for the extra point. That other cheering you hear is coming from New Jersey and New York, where the Giants are going to find themselves in pretty good shape if the Saints can hold on here. 6:12 to go. And New Orleans now has a 10-point cushion.
Boy, that's a shocker. Another confrontation after a kick. That's something new.
Season for the Atlanta Falcon family. A couple of weeks ago, Ralph Norwood killed in an auto accident, and as many of you know, early this morning, the Falcons tight end Brad Beckman died in a crash on Interstate 85. Our deepest sympathy to the family of Brad Beckman and what has just been a horrible year for the Falcons, for the team, for the Smith family. Another tragedy striking Atlanta early today. Anderson with a booming kickoff through the end zone. And the Eagles will take over at their own 20-yard line. Well, we mentioned the AFC, and we're going to try to make this as clear as we can.
Brace yourself.
Yeah. The Denver Broncos are in. Now, there are 256 scenarios. How do we come to that? It's 2 to the 8th power. Houston, in 240 of those, would be in. They are next to in right now. Buffalo, real good chance. Cleveland, good chance. Indianapolis, interesting. We'll get to that in a second. Cincinnati, very confusing. But the key is Houston, Buffalo, and Cleveland and Indianapolis with victories go in. They control their own destinies. Meanwhile, there are flags all over the place on this first down play where Randall Cunningham skips his way out to the 39-yard line. And we'll come back and cover the penalty in a second, but we just want to
Cunningham
bring you
doesn't
up
have
to
a
date
shoe.
on this. Yep. Here it is. Now we put the teams in red. If Houston wins, they're in. Buffalo wins, they're in. Cleveland wins, they're in. Indianapolis is very simple. If Indianapolis wins its game on Sunday, they are in. If they lose, they are out. Period. They are here. Cincinnati has a little less than half a chance. Cincinnati needs some help. Then there are teams in the league, in the division, in the conference, the Raiders, Miami, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, and Seattle, all needing help. Meanwhile, back here for the moment, Matt Cavanaugh is the quarterback with Cunningham retying his shoe on the sideline. And Cavanaugh throws, and Jackson makes the catch and takes it out to the 50-yard line. The penalty had gone against New Orleans on the prior play and was refused. Cunningham comes back in now at the 50-yard line.
Boy, don't underestimate what Matt Cavanaugh just did. Trot out on the field and complete one bullet. Good for a first down. I mean, that's a nice job by a guy who hadn't even an opportunity to loosen his arm.
Here's the pass caught by Jackson. Jackson fights his way for a first down. He gains 11, gets it to the 39-yard line. The clock down to 5:04.
Last time Cavanaugh threw the ball as a touchdown off the fake field goal only a week ago.
And here goes Philadelphia now without a huddle, and they really don't have much choice. You see the clock.
.445, first and 10. Cunningham fires, tips, and is it caught? It is a tremendous catch by Jimmy Giles off a deflection by Robert Massey.
What? I mean, that's almost immaculate reception type stuff by Jimmy Giles. And now your call's right on. Massey gets it with the right arm, and Giles, who wasn't the intended receiver, just dives for the ball and comes up with it.
17-yard gain. Giles' first catch of the night. Clock running for 10. Cunningham fires. The catch is made at the 13 by Byers, who squirts down to the 11-yard line, and a first down. And that little squirt got him the first down. Turned a 9-yard gain into an 11-yard pickup. First and 10 at the 11.
Oh, talk about chewing up some field in a hurry.
Again, the Saints last in the league in pass defense, and the catch is made at the 2-yard line by Anthony Edwards, and he is shaken up, a little slow in arriving, but now he's fine at the 2. It'll be second down and 1.
If you'll notice, all these patterns are almost identical. They're all 7 or 8 or 9-yard turns. The Saints playing way too deep, giving way too much cushion. They're paying the price for it.
On second down, the pass is too high, intended for Keith Byers. That stops the clock at 3:17. It'll be third down and 2 from the 3-yard line.
Now, Al's call there was exactly right. It's third and 2 from the 3. So Philadelphia can get a first down without getting into the end zone. If they get the ball beyond the 1-yard line.
3:17 to play. Play clock down to 5. A little fade for Carter, and not this time. He's caught 7 of those babies for touchdowns this season. Massey covering, 4th down. Now here's a case where you need, sooner or later you're going to need the field goal. You're down by 10, so at least for the moment they will line up as if they will attempt the field goal. We say as if because last week Kavanaugh threw for a touchdown to Carter.
Yeah, but you need the field goal either way.
Sooner or later you need it.
Yep.
And, of course, that is not lost on the New Orleans Saints.
Oh, that's a victory. That's a victory of sorts for the Saints defense, who right now has to be careful not to get drawn off sides or anything that could backfire.
And Ruzek has the kick block. Picked up at the 10-yard line. It's loose again. It's out of bounds. The question is, who had possession at the end? Simmons is saying me. Gibson is saying us.
Clyde Simmons is right in Ben Dry's face saying I had the ball.
And it's New Orleans ball.
He never did control it. Simmons was scrambling, trying to go for the ball, but he never did control it.
Gene Atkins, Antonio Gibson. Now watch the ball come loose. That's Antonio Gibson with the ball. Does Simmons have it?
No.
Well, I don't know. He's holding it in one hand. Can you have possession holding it in one hand? Well, of course you can. Now, I mean, how long did Clyde Simmons have possession? Did he have it long enough? All right, there's Gibson's fumble. No, he didn't have the ball. No. He was trying to get it back in. He pushed it down onto the ground and lost it.
The play stands. It's first down.
He was trying to control it and never did get it.
Yep.
Gene Atkins is the guy who blocks it.
Atkins blocks it. Gibson runs with it. He fumbles it. And Clyde Simmons almost makes a huge play for Philadelphia.
And anything this game hasn't had.
And Philadelphia, remember, spent a timeout, so they only have 2 remaining at the 23-yard line. First down New Orleans as they try to chew up the rest of the clock.
And the answer to your question is brevity.
Yes. Hilliard fumbles, and number 82 Tice recovers. Can you believe it? And look at the reaction of Wes Hopkins, seeing a golden opportunity go away.
Well, how about the hit he put on? I'm trying to recall a game where I have seen more aggressive play, more in-your-face, stuff-it-to-you football. This is just, look at Wes Hopkins, just again putting his hat on the ball and knocking it loose. And if it isn't for a good bounce, that's Philadelphia's ball. This has been one of the hardest-hitting football games I've ever seen.
Philadelphia defensively thinking nothing but strip the ball, get it out of their hands, get the recovery, get the turnover.
Second and 6, they try to strip it, but Hilliard fights his way into the 32. That's short of the first down. It's going to be 3rd and 1, and it's going to take us to the 2-minute warning. But before that, the Eagles spend a timeout. which means they'll get a free one at the 2-minute warning, but it's all going to boil down to whether or not they can stop the Saints on the next play as to whether they'll get the ball back or not.
And keep in mind, they had to use the timeout down on the 1-yard line.
On defense, on 1st and goal, when Ryan didn't like his alignment and he had to take the timeout there, costing him one. Well, guys, we made it through the game without Buddy talking to us. That's another side story that developed in Philadelphia this week. Unhappy with our comments, I guess, in the Philadelphia-Chicago game. Refused access. I can't believe, though, Dan, he called you an old, overweight tackle. You read that, didn't you?
Buddy has been critical of my weight lately, and looking at his sweater, I can only assume there aren't any mirrors in the Ryan household.
I'm surprised you didn't hit him on his chin.
You know, actually, I like Buddy. I like the way he coaches. I like the way his team plays. He just doesn't like us, and I'm still looking for the Christmas card, though.
He'll get one with one of his horses on it.
Which end? 3rd down and 1 at the 32. Here's Hilliard. And that's the 1st down, and the clock will stop at the 2-minute warning, but it's the 1st down, and Philadelphia can only stop the clock once more, and this one is all but done. And the New York Giants are a group of some pretty happy people at the moment. 30-20, New Orleans.
Many years.
Well, the New Orleans Saints right now 10 points to the good.
4 of them accountable to Morton Anderson, the Travelers Man of the Year for the New Orleans Saints, for all of his work off the field as well as on. And, of course, it would be another year if he could get 7 more points this season. And I don't think we're going to see much of him tonight, but if he could get 7 more, that'd be another year of 100 points or more.
1st and 10. Saints have it at the 35-yard line. Eagles can only stop the clock once. Hilliard at the 34. Here's Philadelphia's final timeout. Let me just pick up one other thing, because we had sort of a truncated AFC explanation, which we had gotten into before. If you are a fan of the Cincinnati Bengals and you're wondering who do you root for this week, it's so crazy the way the tie-breaking system works. If you're a Bengal fan, you want a lot of teams to finish 9 and 7. So if you're a Bengal fan, you're hoping that Houston will lose to Cleveland, or that Pittsburgh, believe it or not, will win to go 9 or 7 to get more teams at 9 and 7, because the Bengals' better chances would come with more teams involved in that mix and not head-to-head, if you got that.
Do we qualify as Bengal fans?
Yep. Well, I don't know.
We're going to be sharing the Christmas night with them.
We'll see the Bengals against Minnesota. We know that it's an important game for Minnesota regardless. It could be vitally important to Cincinnati as well, depending on what happens Saturday and Sunday. And we say Saturday, there's a huge game Saturday, Cleveland playing Houston.
Let's get to a more important question. What'd you guys buy me for Christmas? I'm bringing my stocking with me, by the way, and you ought to see the size of that sucker, man. It's a big one.
I'm going to get you a Buddy Ryan sweater.
Yeah, we gave you it's a year's free calls to Buddy's 900 number.
Nice thing about having a size 15, you get a lot of M&Ms in that.
2nd and 11, and here's Hilliard. And he's wrestled back, and they'll take as much time off the clock as they can at this point. 3rd down. Meanwhile,
candied or peanuts.
Best play, Dave Craig wins the balloting. There's the final result. Best play in the history of Monday Night Football. Dorsett 2nd, McKinnon 3rd, and Bob Lee winds up 4th.
The best Tony Dorsett could have done, too.
3rd down and 11 from the 34-yard line. The play clock is down to 15, which means that they'll run this play with just about a minute to go.
Well, Dan pointed out something else a little short while ago. This New Orleans crowd, almost to a man and woman, they have remained here. 7 and 7 team going nowhere, and tremendous support for these Saints.
Ooh, another nice play by Jerome Brown. Boy, he's played a game tonight, hasn't he? I mean, he has been all over the place.
Meanwhile, you're looking at Brown, who's a little shaken up on the last play. You know, there's a scenario, if you can believe this, where Philadelphia is out of the playoffs. They lose tonight. If Philadelphia loses to Phoenix and Green Bay and Minnesota both won next week, Philadelphia would go home. Meanwhile, there's a stoppage here only momentarily because of the injury to Andre Waters. Now, you wonder in a situation like this, obviously, is it real or is it a ploy to stop the clock? There's no such thing as the ploy anymore because in a situation like this, they will restart the clock again once Waters is removed from the field. So you would tend to suspect that it is real.
And you would hope that it's not too real because Andre Waters is a vital player in this Philadelphia defense, and you can see they're looking at his right leg. Andre Waters, who has played a very good game tonight. And meanwhile, I'll remind you that this telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the New Orleans Saints and the National Football League is strictly prohibited. Or strictly prohibited.
You got a problem with that?
Take your pick. Christmas in Minneapolis.
We'll be there next Monday night as the regular season comes to a conclusion. Well, it's real simple now, and as I say, when Waters first goes down, I know there's a thought in people's minds in a situation like this, what's really going on? And we told you that you can't stop the clock, obviously, and it's a shame that this has to take place in a situation where the game is winding down. Waters has to come out.
And they're obviously looking at that right leg and being very gingerly with the way they are going to remove Waters, so it could be something serious. We certainly hope it isn't.
One other thing we can bring up, too, is we mentioned that the Saints were seeking to tie an NFL record, most consecutive games limiting their opponents to under 100 yards, and they have not done that tonight. Philadelphia has rushed for 104. There it is, graphically. So Waters needs assistance to get back to the locker room. The Eagles will be flying home and preparing for their Sunday confrontation against the Phoenix Cardinals. So, I mean, that's really a freak play on a play where, I mean, New Orleans just runs a straight little tight formation, straight ahead play.
And there the clock starts.
I just get that sick feeling in my stomach every time I see a guy going off on the cart.
And New Orleans will just take this right down to the last second on the 30-second clock before they make the snap.
Play clock is down, as you can see, to 10, and the game clock is at 23. And New Orleans will take the delay of game penalty. Or they will take a timeout. What does he want to do? And
they actually took a timeout.
Barnhart took the timeout. With 16 seconds.
I think it's a good call because it'll enable us just to throw it right to Charlie Gibson and Joan London for Good Morning America.
We'll join them in progress. I looked at my watch. I thought for a moment it's Eastern time. It's 5 to 12, but in this time zone. And Tom Benson, the owner of the Saints, loves to do a little dancing.
He's got some good steps, doesn't he? He's got some medals.
Here he goes.
Himself, I think, for different steps.
Benson Boogie.
There it is.
Known here.
7-17, and they put on quite a show tonight. And Philadelphia, of course, one of the top teams in the NFL at this point.
It's a mini boogie by Benson. Barnhart's kick. Edwards fields at the 24-yard line. And he runs it to the 34-yard line, and the clock stops with 4 seconds and 1 play remaining in the game.
Well, you can just hear Bill Parcells, Giants coach, pulling out the film, looking at the Raiders. They're probably out there getting with it right now.
Well, let's look ahead now. What's the likely scenario? If the Giants beat the Raiders, if the Eagles beat Phoenix, the Eagles will be a wild card. Most likely they play the Rams, and in an Eagles-Rams situation where both would wind up with the same record, the playoff game would be at Philadelphia. I want to double check that.
If you say so.
Steve Hurt and I went over 49,000 scenarios today.
Even further, if Philadelphia were to win that, the Giants would not be able to play them because they're from the same division?
At this stage, if you'd have said the game would have been in Milwaukee, I would have believed.
Well, the game is going to be in Bogalusa, we understand.
And Randall will pad his rushing stats.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those Cal run-back plays.
They're all looking for the Cal band.
The Stanford band.
Who's ever?
Well, whatever band it was playing taps tonight for the Eagles because they go down by 10. 30-20. And for Buddy Ryan, a guy who was looking at maybe a home playoff game and then maybe a trip, let's say, to San Francisco, all of a sudden he's got to be thinking about the playoffs, a wild card situation. It's out of his hands right now in the NFC East and in the hands of the New York Giants. And there is Mr. John Forcade, man of the moment here in the Crescent City.
Last week it was Buffalo. Outstanding performance there. Another one tonight against one of the toughest defenses he could ever hope to face.
And that's Jim Moore reacting to Buddy Ryan not even coming across the field to shake his hand.
That was not a wave of congratulations on your season either, I'll tell you that.
Well, don't feel bad, Jim. He doesn't do it with anyone.
Call the 900 number.
Yeah, right. 30-20 is the final score. New Orleans wins it by 10. And we can tell you that Saturday on ABC's college basketball, a couple of great matchups in the doubleheader from Las Vegas. First